Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
I want to welcome you guys out today to episode 189 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name is Chris Hollifield. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for listening. However you got here, whether you're a longtime listener, a brand new listener, thank you so much for checking out the I Am Salt Lake podcast. This episode is the long-anticipated Last Supper podcast episode, where a couple weeks ago I had the opportunity to take my podcast gear to Ichiban Sushi, sit down with all of the individuals involved in this project that Kat Palmer did, where she took a photo shoot of the 12 badasses of Salt Lake City, 12 individuals that she respected, that were key players here in Salt Lake City. I had the opportunity to sit down, chat with them, their thoughts on the photo shoot, what they think of Salt Lake, some places they enjoy eating, just really great conversations. I'm going to be playing that here in just a minute. For those of you that might not be aware of the Last Supper shoot, make sure you're connected to Kat Palmer on Facebook. Check out her website. Last Sunday in the Tribune, there was a big write-up about it. You might have seen the photo. I'm going to put all those links at iamsaltlake.com/189. That way you can get in touch with her. You could check out the photos, as well as all the individuals. I'm going to try to get all the links up there. I had a lovely afternoon chatting with them. Of course, I want to get some news out of the way, though, really quickly. There's quite a few of you that I'm sure do not know. Friday, October 16th, I'm doing my first live show, first I Am Salt Lake Live. It's going to be at Club 50 West, right in downtown Salt Lake City, at 50 West Broadway. The show starts at 8 o'clock. Doors are going to open about 7:30, so make sure you get there, get early, get a seat. Tickets are only $5 at the door. Bring a friend, bring a date. It's going to be a really fun evening. I'm going to be chatting with Carrie Jackson, Paul Duane, and Levi Rounds. We're going to be recording a podcast right there at 50 West Broadway. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at I Am Salt Lake. That way you could stay up to date on everything I'm doing a lot of really cool things here in Salt Lake City. This episode, like I said, the Last Supper shoot. Make sure to connect with all the individuals. I'm going to put those links at iamsaltlake.com under the show notes. Check out the photograph. How I'm going to do this, I'm going to start off the podcast. I'm going to chat with Kat Palmer. She's going to kind of summarize the whole project. And then I'm going to get into the individual conversations. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Make sure you're subscribed. I have a brand new episode each and every week. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. It is absolutely free. Check out all the cool conversations I've been having here. So with that being said, join me now as I chat with Kat Palmer and find out more about the Last Supper shoot. Kat Palmer's joining me right now. We're sitting down. We're going to chat about the Last Supper shoot. Before I play all of the interviews here in just a minute with all the individuals that I had a chance to sit down and chat with, I wanted to sit down with Kat on a separate time to kind of have her sum up the whole project, talk about it, her thoughts. And so I have her here with me right now. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me have the opportunity to sit down with all the individuals and be part of the Last Supper shoot. I know it was such a top secret project that you had.
Right. Well, partially you are one of the badasses of Salt Lake City. And second of all, I couldn't have anybody else there other than I Am Salt Lake podcast. So
I want to find out from you, Kat, though, how this whole idea, how the project, the photo shoot, how this whole thing came to be.
Sure. Back in June, I was shooting the Rainbow series out at the Salt Flats, and it happened to be one of my best friends. He wasn't planning on coming. His name's Greg Shearer. And, you were headed out there with me, and we kind of talked him into coming with us. And he came out there, and he wasn't going to participate, which was weird for me because he's been a part of almost every one of my shoots somehow or another. So it was weird for me not to have him participating, and I kept bugging him to participate. And we got out there and somebody had brought an extra yellow, it was like a graduation gown and a yellow umbrella. And he happens to look like Jesus. He's El Salvadorian, but he happens to have this kind of Jesus-y look to him. And so we did a shot of him in front of the rainbow and I loved it. In fact, Sister Dottie shared it to her page, and it happened to be, the next week, marriage equality across the nation came down from the Supreme Court. And so I released it that day. It was a total coincidence. And anyhow, so fast forward, I'm having lunch with Dina Marie, and she tells me that this is one of her favorite photos of kind of all time. She's like, not just that you've taken. She's like, I love this photo. She's like, I just wish you could recreate the Last Supper with Greg as Jesus. And I said to her, well, why can't I? Like, let's do this. And I said, but let's not just put anybody at the table. I want to put the 12 badasses of Salt Lake City at the table. So there at our lunch, we were at Sapa having sushi actually. And we planned who we wanted. And we wrote down we probably had about 20 people on our list. But of course, there's only 12 seats at the Last Supper. And so we had to kind of whittle it down and decide who we were going to ask first. And that was hard because Salt Lake City is full of badasses. And it was really hard to narrow it down to 12 people. But that's how the idea came about. And from there, everything else just fell into place. So
let's talk about the people that you did kind of narrow it down to and the people that were involved in the project. Because I know you kind of, we chatted about this and you kind of, you had people in different genres of Salt Lake.
Sure, we wanted
of who they were involved with.
Sure, we wanted people representing, the film area, the comedian, musician, TV, radio. But radio here, there's a lot of elements to radio. So we had a couple different radio people because, of course, we have NPR and then we also have Radio from Hell. So I wanted different types of radio represented. But yeah, basically I wanted, of course, we didn't cover every single category.
Well, yeah, with only 12
because we only have 12 spots. But I feel like we did a pretty good job of a wide range of people. So they were all very calculated who we chose. And had they told us no, we had another person to move to. And for me, I mean, with anything in life, if something's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. And if anybody gave me a hesitant answer, I just moved on. If they said, I need to check with this, I need to do this, I just moved on. The only exception I had was Mary Nickles was very excited about it, but she is, of course, under contract with KUTV2, so she did need to get approval. Other than that, if anybody showed any amount of hesitation, I just moved on. I just said no.
Well, go down the list. Who was
okay,
there?
Sure. Okay, this is like the test, right? We'll start from the one end and move the other end. We have Paul Duane, he's a comedian. He is a cross-dresser. He has a radio show. He does a late night live talk show. He's also a photographer. So I felt like he hit a lot of marks. He's also a very good friend of mine, and I want him involved in my projects. From there, we have Mary Nickles. She's a news channel host for KUTV2. Then we have filmmaker, godfather of Mormon cinema, Richard Dutcher. Okay, from there we have celebrity hairstylist and makeup artist, Paula J. Dahlberg. We have cartoon satire artist genius of the world, Patrick Bagley. He's a cartoonist for the Tribune, and he also was up for a Pulitzer Prize last year. Then we have the lovely Sister Dottie, who's played, of course, by Charles Lynn Frost. After that, we have Jesus, played by Greg Shearer. From there, we have Ransom Wydner, who is a musician. Radio West, NPR, Doug Fabrizio. Actress and comedian, not a comedian like stand-up comedian, but I just find her hilarious. And she also does a show on KUTV2, Dina Marie. And then from there, we have the Senator Jim Dabakis, and X96 Radio from Hell, Bill Allred. And last but definitely not least, comedian, award-winning comedian at that, as well as geek podcaster Jay Whittaker.
Great group of people.
Amazing group.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, I'm going to be playing conversations that I had with each one of them here in just a few minutes after I'm done chatting with you, Kat. I'm going to just sync it right into the conversations that I had with them. The shoot was at Ichiban.
It was at Ichiban Sushi on 400 East. It's an old church that has stained glass windows, so I felt like it was a perfect setting. And we wanted it to be a modern day Last Supper, so I loved the idea of serving sushi. So,
did the idea of the place come to you right away, though?
No,
or
it took us about
when the
a month.
idea of the photo shoot, you're like, well, where can we shoot it at?
It took us about a month, and it was actually Paula J. Dahlberg. She did our styling that day, and she also was playing the role of Judas. She suggested it, And I loved the idea. It was perfect. And it was just the perfect setting. So, yeah.
Let's talk about the day of the shoot. I mean, because you had it. I mean, it was quite a few hours. I mean, you had individual shoot or pictures to take of each person, and then the group picture.
Yeah.
Any funny stories you want to share about that day, or anything you want to share about that day?
Let me think. I love Senator Dabakis. He was cracking us up that entire day as soon as he got on set. I basically had everyone staggering in every 20 minutes so that I could do an individual shoot of them, shot of them, and then they'd get their, I guess they saw Paula first, then they'd come to me, and then they'd come to you. And from there, I had food and beverage. Five Wives Vodka sponsored us for that portion of the beverage. And so that way they were kind of taken care of. Senator Dabakis, he was telling Mary Nickles about how he's had a long time crush on her. And if he was only 40 years younger and straight, he'd be her guy. And he was killing me. Him and watching him and Jay Whittaker bond, they were bonding so much that day. And I loved that. He also was telling us about how he had a feeling, and maybe he said it in his interview with you, but he kept joking around that he was worried about losing his job, but he knew Doug Fabrizio was doing it. So he felt like he had job security. And so I just thought he was just so great. I don't know. And Sister Dottie, I mean, she's just wonderful. She asked for a Diet Dr. Pepper as soon as she sat down to the table, which I guess that's her signature drink. And had I known that, I would have definitely had some available for her because I thought that was pretty dang adorable. She also, I put non-alcoholic sake, it was in sake glasses, but it wasn't sake. I put non-alcoholic sparkling juices in front of the people that didn't drink. The person playing Jesus doesn't drink. Doug Fabrizio doesn't drink. Sister Dottie's character does not drink. Dina Marie, who's having a baby, doesn't drink. And so I made sure to put non-alcoholic ones and the black ones in front of those people. And then the white ones in front of the people that are okay with it. Well, Sister Dottie got that mixed up and accidentally went for the white one instead of the black one. And so that was pretty fun. Turns out she likes vodka. So I don't know about other funny stories. It was just exciting. Everyone showed up on time, which I was really impressed by. I've since really loved, Bill Allred called me a week prior and he wasn't sure what to wear. And I loved those conversations I had with him. I thought he nailed it coming looking like Reservoir Dogs, and he just looked like a total badass, which I really appreciated that he got it. He nailed it. Cause suits are not really his thing. And so
not my thing either.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand.
Yeah. So I love that he totally nailed it. But I don't know, as far as funny stories, Gregory was teaching everyone how to play, different card games, which I thought was cool. They were kind of up in an area playing games, which was pretty neat.
Well, the reason I ask is because I know even prior to the big unveiling of the finished product, you were releasing photos online on Facebook and in different social media outlets. And so that's kind of what, to just tie in a lot of those pictures.
Yeah. I mean, they were, my favorite things was just a lot of those people knew, of course, they all knew who each other were. But some of them had not met each other before. Some of them had. Some of them had been friends for a really long time. Like Sister Dottie and Patrick Bagley are their longtime friends. And, Bill had met everyone there but Paul Duane. And it was just cool to see them all bonding, honestly, and talking. My favorite part of the whole thing was afterwards, nobody left. Nobody left. They all stayed. They all stayed for like an hour and ate and drank, and they pulled chairs to the other side of the table and bonded. Doug Fabrizio did not leave. Mary Nickles did not leave. Senator Dabakis did not leave. Everybody stayed and talked. And I thought that was the coolest part. Because if you gathered the badasses of LA or New York, people would show up, get their picture taken, and take off.
It's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
And they would come with an entourage. Basically, everyone came by themselves.
Yeah.
And just to hang out. And I thought that was so cool. Like, that was the part that I loved the most. There was also a moment, my second favorite part, there was a moment everyone was seated and I just was sitting there taking it all in, or standing there just getting ready to get the camera ready, get the gear ready. And Sister Dottie caught my eye and we kind of had a moment looking at each other. I think Charles and Frost, who plays Dottie, knew how special that moment was to me. Like I was just kind of taking it all in and I just thought, oh man, this is really happening.
Yeah.
It was so surreal, because it's one thing for people to say, yeah, I'm interested in doing this. It's another thing for them to actually show up. I just felt very honored to be able to celebrate people that are so sacred to me, that make this city what it is. So
now that it's all over, the project's over, and you sit back and you see the finished picture. I mean, how do you feel right now? How do you feel since the whole thing's over?
I couldn't have done this without Chad Zavala. So I just wanted to do a shout out to that. He helped me with my lighting that day, with my camera. He helped me with the post-production. He came to my house. And as we were sitting there editing it, we didn't really do a lot of edits to it. I mean, we cleaned up a couple of things and darkened up the edges and just added some highlights here and there. But sitting there with him and seeing the next day, it was 24 hours later that we edited this picture because it had to get ready to go to the Tribune to be printed on the next Sunday. It was amazing. And I felt like he was sitting there witnessing the magic of it all, how epic the piece was that came out. So I feel very proud. I feel very honored. I'm very thankful because it was a team of people to make this come together. You know, I couldn't have done this without Gregory, you know, being drug along to the Salt Flats, and without Dina and Paula J. Dahlberg and Thomas at Ichiban and Chad and just everybody that helped, and Five Wives Vodka, everyone that kind of helped make this come together. Zest donated some food for the day of. And so, and not only that, but Zest also donated money to help this project along. And so there was also several other people in the community that also helped donate to help this project. And so I could not have done this without everybody that kind of came together. And hopefully I didn't leave anybody out of thanking people, because that's always awful, right? But there was a whole team of people behind this. And so I'm very thankful, because I think we were able to create some magic that day. So
going into this, you knew that you would get negative feedback.
Oh, sure.
You knew that people would talk crap on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's every project I do.
How do you handle that? How do you deal with that? How do you, a lot of people, it crushes them.
I don't know that I would have made it this far as a successful artist without some thick skin. I mean, that's the biggest thing to artists. I tell them is that you have to understand that there will be people that don't like your work. Always. And there's always going to be negative feedback. And if you can't handle that, like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe you wait to put your stuff out there, because that's just normal. And as an artist, you're putting your heart and soul out there for people to criticize, right? Like, you're creating your vision. And with me, I put my soul into all my work. So I'm used to that. I've done a lot of controversial series. I've been told by my own family, why can't you just take normal pictures of normal people? My family members that do get the Tribune, they threw it away. The Tribune that came out, and they told me they didn't like it. So I am used to negative feedback, and I was expecting it. Of course, when you tackle something like The Last Supper, which has been done 1,000 times, and Da Vinci himself, and I'm not comparing myself to Da Vinci, but he was a controversial artist for his time. And all Da Vinci did was depict a story that had happened in the Bible and painted it, correct? Well, and I'm doing my interpretation of that, but celebrating people that are sacred to me. So I was expecting it. For the most part, I get a kick out of negative feedback, because a lot of people, I went on the Tribune's Facebook page and of course their website to look and see what was being said. And it was comical, because a lot of the people that were giving negative feedback would say things like, this is boring, this is unoriginal, this is uninteresting. But the fact that they're taking the time to look and read and comment tells me otherwise. So they may try to be putting something negative out there about it, but I take it as a total compliment. And maybe it's because I have a slightly big ego. I take it as a compliment. And I love any feedback, because if nobody was talking about my work, that would mean I was doing something wrong, that it was boring, and it truly was uninteresting if nobody was actually talking about it. There are some people that would say it was tasteless. Every time I clicked on their profile, they were usually moms from Orem, honestly. So that doesn't really shake me up too bad that moms from Orem don't like my work. I'm okay with that. So for the record, I kind of don't care. So that moms from Orem don't like my work, I'm good with that. So there was only 2 negative comments that I replied to. And the one was from a woman who went on a little feminist rampage, which I thought was particularly funny, and saying there was nothing edgy about this. If it was a typical Utah thing to only have 3 women in the photograph, and that if I really wanted to be edgy, I would put all women in the photograph. And she just went on this rampage, and I think, oh my gosh, she obviously does not know who she's talking to, because I've been empowering women for over a decade now through my artwork, and I tackle really controversial things with women. I've only shot my first men for my art just a couple of months ago. And so I just found that particularly funny, because if she doesn't think a gay Jesus, a gay politician, a cross-dresser, and a drag queen at the Last Supper is not edgy, like, I'm really not sure what is edgy to this woman, because I felt like it was a pretty edgy photo. So, but with that said, that's her opinion. But that was probably the only person I gave the time and effort to reply to. Some of my fans jumped in and were just like, you need to research Kat Palmer a little bit better, because she's a total feminist photographer. So I thought that was interesting. But no, everyone else, like, with everything I ever do, no matter how controversial it is, there's always haters and there's always people critiquing it, but there's the love always outweighs that. So that's so good. Yeah. So I can handle the hate as long as the love outweighs the hate. So the feedback's been awesome.
People that want to get prints of it, pictures that,
sure,
get their own copy of it to put it over their fireplace or in their living room. How can people get it?
Sure. I mean, they can certainly always contact me. I'm easy to access. My website's just katpalmer.com. You can get my phone number, my email address on there, but also UMOCA, which is the Utah Museum of Contemporary Art over on West Temple and 100 South, as well as the Urban Arts Gallery that is inside the Gateway Mall. Both places are going to be carrying them. So,
where did you decide to hang it? Is that still undecided?
And maybe somebody's listening to this. It is still undecided. I want a place to kind of permanently hang it, and then I have places I can rotate it through. I want two large ones done up, wrapped canvas, big ones done up, and I want a kind of permanent place to hang it. And I am still seeking for the place, and I feel like as soon as the right place presents itself, that will be it. And of course, I'll announce it. We'll do an unveiling. We'll do all that. But yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting to hear back from two places, which I don't want to mention because I don't want to confuse people, but I'm waiting to hear back from two places. So
back to how people can contact you. Give the links. I'll put those on the show notes of this episode.
Sure.
It's Kat Palmer.
katpalmer.com. My name is with a C, katpalmer.com. I'm easy to find on Facebook. You Google me. I'm really easy to find. And, my email address is on my website as well as my phone number. So awesome. Yeah, I'm super easy to track down. So
anything else you want to talk about with this project before we jump into the individual interview conversations that I had with all the individuals that day? Any final thoughts, any comments, anything that maybe we didn't talk about?
I guess I just want to publicly thank the people that showed up to sit at that table. It was really important to me that they came and they were ready. They followed instruction really well. I am really thankful to those people. I'm also going to be putting together a book about it, and it will have the bio on every person involved, as well as the behind the scenes, the article that came out. And of course, there's some photos I haven't released yet that I jumped in with my gas mask and sat next to Doug Fabrizio and Jesus. So that one I'll probably wait till the book comes out so people can see that one. And of course, there was a photo that you and I jumped in, which I think has been released. I think we posted that online.
I was going to say, because I was actually going to ask you about that, but
maybe I didn't post it.
I was going to say, I don't think it got posted online. I didn't want to jump the gun there either. And
so Chris and I jumped in for a photo real quick. Maybe I haven't posted that. Maybe I'm going to.
I've been keeping an eye because I'm like, I don't want to jump on Kat's, parade here.
Well, the one I like the best, you're kind of looking down the table at me. So you're not looking at the camera. There's one that you are looking at the camera, but I like the one where you're looking down the table a little bit better. So
I'll have to check them out.
That's my favorite one.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kat. Let's jump into the conversations. Like I said, I chatted with each individual, and we're going to jump into those right now. And thank you so much again for letting me podcast about this and document it for all of Salt Lake City.
Oh, I'm excited, and I honestly can't wait to listen to this podcast. So.
Why don't you introduce yourself and share how you know Kat?
My name is Greg Shearer. I met Kat about 8 years ago at a friend's birthday gathering, and we hit it off quite well. And a couple months later, she had an event going, and she said, "Hey, bring your friend with the hair." I can't remember his name. So ultimately, I became Greg with the hair in her phone for years and years. And ultimately I'm here because my hair is very Jesus-like, and there we have it. So how I met Kat is kind of funny because the hair always kind of plays into it.
So you're Jesus in the project.
Yes, I am.
What's your favorite thing about Salt Lake City?
The architecture and design, which I feel like is being taken down all too often. I actually got a camera 5 years ago to capture a lot of the design and architecture and homes and buildings and things like that, so I could preserve them if just on prints and memory and such.
A lot of history in this town.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
Share with the listeners some of your favorite places to eat in Salt Lake City.
I actually just had brunch at Pago, and it was divine. I had the Croque Madame, which was excellent. I also love Finca, which is a Spanish restaurant. They just reopened on 2nd South, and the design is impeccable as well as the food, and it's just a great place. We actually do a Monday night supper club where we go to dinner at a different place in Salt Lake every week, so I've tried a lot of different places, and it's an adventure. I forget where they are. I forget the names of them, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good places to dine in Salt Lake.
I might have to join you on that.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Let's say somebody listening hasn't visited Salt Lake, or somebody living here might not be all that adventurous. What is one or two things that, an area of town or a building or something that somebody should go check out in the area?
Well, for me, this might seem a little strange, but I love to show people the Avenue's graveyard. I think it's
a great graveyard.
Haunting and inviting in its own strange way. I've actually taken a lot of dates up there. I think it's just a great place, a serene place to be, and it shows off the city. But a couple of other places, I think, of course, just downtown, just walking around and taking in the charm of some of the old buildings and such is really great. And for others, a lot of people like the outdoors, so hiking, of course.
You're a pretty big hiker, Greg?
I'm not myself. I'm kind of lazy that way, but I do enjoy it sometimes. But I honestly just come to the city and I walk around and just take it all in. The people are wonderful. It's a great place to be, just to soak up the good energy. So for me, I'm always doing something new, so I can't really specifically say right now one small thing. But as I just moved to the city, I just moved to the city yesterday, so I will be...
Well, welcome to town.
Thank you so much. So I will be, exploring a lot more. I just lived 30 minutes north for 20 years, so now I'm here living. But
is your first time in Salt Lake City living?
Second time, actually.
Second time.
Yeah, but the other time was 6 years ago for 4 months, and,
And hopefully we got you for good now.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there a way, that, say, if somebody's listening wanted to get in touch with you, to contact you, any outlets that you care if people connect with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, and I oftentimes get friend requests from people that I do not know all the time, constantly. I don't know if it's because I'm very social and people see me around town, or if they say, oh, he's friends with so-and-so and he's got a strange personality and I'd like to be friends with him. But if you do send me a friend request, please send me a message telling me who you are and why you've contacted me.
Awesome. And I'll get, it's just Greg Shearer, S-C-H?
S-H-E-A-R-E-R.
Okay.
I'm also on Instagram, just as Keys and Mirrors.
Okay, and I'll try to get those links on the show notes for this episode.
All right.
Anything else you want to mention, promote, give a shout out to anybody? Anything else you want to say?
Not at this time. I think if I were more prepared, possibly, but I can't think of anything right now.
No, you're fine.
Other than, the local art scene in Salt Lake is amazing, and it's growing, and there are some great people here, and I'm just excited for where it's going.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Greg.
Wonderful.
Say who you are, what you're known for.
My name is Richard Dutcher. I'm a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker, known regionally here mostly for, Jeff Weiss of the Deseret News once said, he called me the godfather of Mormon cinema, and it kind of stuck. So that's what I usually get introduced as, the father or the godfather of Mormon cinema, even though I left Mormonism several years ago, but I did, my early films started a rather vibrant film movement within the Mormon community.
And down the road, I'd love to get you on a full episode and kind of dig deep and find out your whole story.
Absolutely.
But this project with Kat, you're, I guess I should have looked here before. You are Andrew.
Andrew.
How did you feel when Kat approached you? I know you're pretty good friends with Kat Palmer, but when she approached you to be part of this project, did you have any feelings or thoughts or what went through your head?
Oh, I don't know. First of all, I just thought it sounded like fun. It sounded appropriately a little bit. Well, it could be perceived as sacrilegious by some, and so I kind of like that because to me it's. I don't think it is. So.
It's the 12, awesome people, the 12 key players of the city. I mean, really,
Yeah, no, I thought, and when I heard who the other reprobates were going to be on this, who the other disciples, I guess I should say, were going to be, I just thought, yeah, that's a group of people. Most of them I know socially and
sure.
and really like. So, and there's not a single one that I don't like. So I just thought this could be a.
So who don't you know that you're meeting for the first time today? I mean, you got Mary Nickles, Paul Duane,
I don't think I've met Mary. I don't think I've met her. Let's see. Everybody else on there, I think I've... today I just met Jay Whittaker, so that was fun. And Ransom. Who's PJD?
Paula. Paula, she's the one who fixed you up, made your camera ready.
Right. So I've met her now, too. Yeah. So that's pretty much where we are.
What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake City? One or two favorite things overall?
Well, one of my most favorite things is I absolutely love the city. I was born in Chicago and didn't live my entire life here. So this is the city that I've adopted. This is my hometown, but it's the hometown that I've chosen because I love it. I have a hard time finding anything I don't like about it. I love shooting here. I love filming here. I love, especially the old architecture. I tend to always want to film those and film in those buildings and to try to make Salt Lake City look as cool as I can. In fact, that's one of the things when I take my films out often in film festivals or in other parts of the country or out of the country, one of the first questions I usually get is, where was that shot? And when I say Salt Lake City, most people are surprised because their idea of Salt Lake City is not what I generally present.
Absolutely.
Because to me, it's a wonderful city. The other thing I love about Salt Lake City is, you just mentioned how many of these people I know. I live in the city usually most of the time. And so all my little hangouts are there. And when I need to go walking around, whenever I go walking on the street, I just run into people. It's a big enough city that it's filled with, great restaurants, so many wonderful people, but it's small enough that when you're walking around, you run into these people. And so almost every time I go for a walk, I'll run into some of these people that are here behind the table today.
Well, even we ran into you at Junior's.
At Junior's
that time.
Yeah. Yeah. So running into you, or I'll run into Pat Bagley, and we'll have a beer, or Paul Duane, or. That's one of the things I love about the city is there's so many people, really interesting people to talk to. Most cities you go to a bar and you'll just sit down and have a beer, and you'll end up just having a beer with a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, you get kind of lost. You get kind of lost in a sea of idiots. Not so much in Salt Lake.
But you can be sitting at Junior's Tavern in Salt Lake, and Will Bagley will walk in, or Trent Harris, another filmmaker, will walk in, or some politician will walk in, and I really value intelligent conversation, lively conversation, and Salt Lake City seems to be a great place to have those.
What is something that you would change though about Salt Lake, or something that you would like to see different?
I think the things that I would like to see different are happening. They're just happening very slowly. The monoculture, which is more of a perception now than a reality, because the city itself is becoming more diverse politically and religiously. I'm looking forward to when it becomes even more diverse, and when the state itself becomes a little more diverse, so that it's something that because I'm no longer a Latter-day Saint, I don't have to have certain conversations or hear certain conversations as often as most do. But that's something that I would like it if those conversations about, the Mormon influence in politics, or the Mormon influence in the city, and just the Mormon influence whatsoever, I would like to see that become a a smaller, have less influence in our daily lives, because, I love Mormon history. I love Utah history. I value that, and I appreciate the Mormon roots of the city, but it's becoming more than that. And I run into too many people who are frustrated because they get tired of feeling like they can't get away from Mormonism. Everybody talks about it. It's everywhere. And so that's something I hope, and I think as time goes by, the church will become less and less
so dominant here.
Dominant. That's a great word. Yeah, less dominant. That's great.
What about favorite eating spots? Local eating spots that Richard likes to fill his face full. That eat at.
My two favorite restaurants in Salt Lake City are Provisions, which is up on about 23rd East and 33rd South.
Okay.
Excellent fine dining. And then the Spencer Steakhouse, actually in the bottom floor of the Hilton, is I love steak, and at Spencer's I've had the two best steaks of my entire life.
Really?
Yep.
I'll have to go try it out.
So that's generally what I order whenever I go out of steaks. So I'm a connoisseur. I'm a steak connoisseur, and Spencer's has the best.
Well, you're making me hungry. How can people find you? I mean, I know you're online, right? Facebook. Can people connect with you on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, just Richard Dutcher. I'm also, you can go to my website, richarddutcher.com.
That has everything right there, probably. Huh?
Yep, easy to find.
Are you on Twitter or no?
I tweet, but just through Facebook. So it's all connected.
There's so many social media outlets. It's like, how do you keep up with all this?
You'd spend all day just sitting there.
Anything else you want to add to wrap this up? Anything you want to promote? Shout outs, comments, final comments about this whole project? Anything you want to mention while we're recording?
I'll take a chance of the opportunity to promote the Salt Lake Film Society.
Absolutely. Please do.
I'm on the advisory board of the Salt Lake Film Society, which runs the Broadway Center Theaters and the Tower Theater. So that's 7 screens here in Salt Lake. And then they've recently done an upgrading their presentation and their seats and their lobby, and the place just looks fantastic. And so I'm a big fan of the Salt Lake Film Society. So I would definitely encourage people to go out and see that. And one thing people don't realize, I think we're spoiled in Salt Lake City because there is no other city that I know of. And I was just asking Sean Means the same thing, if he knew of anything. And there's no other city that we know of this size or even much bigger that has that has 7 high quality art house screens that play, art films, independent films, foreign films. And Salt Lake City, we just take it for granted because it's been here so long. So that's something I love about Salt Lake, is the Salt Lake Film Society. So I encourage everybody to get out there and see some good movies. You don't have to watch Ant-Man. You don't have to watch The Avengers. You can go see something for grown-ups, too.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Richard. Why don't I just have you introduce yourself, who you are, what you're known for?
My name is Paul Duane, and I'm known for Solving for Pi. I'm known for a lot of solving world hunger. I'm also known for That's Such Bullshit.
I love it, though. It's great. It's a great start.
I'm a talk show host here in Salt Lake City. I host a show that has a really original name, The Paul Duane Show. It's like a late-night talk show live on stage. I have a radio show that I've been doing for a couple of years, and those are probably what most people know me for.
Why don't you kind of say, how did it feel when Kat approached you to be part of this project?
Oh, my God, I was honored. I mean, first of all, I have to say, the only thing about this project I don't like is I didn't think of it first.
It's a cool idea.
It's brilliant. It's so irreverent and hilarious. And when I found out the cast of characters that are going to be in this, all the other people that are participating, I was honored.
Yeah.
I mean, Kat's a good friend of mine. And so, there's that. But to see that, I mean, we're here with, Senator Dabakis and Bill Allred, Jay Whittaker, Dina, so many amazing people from just Utah luminaries, I don't really think of myself in those terms, so it was a little odd.
One of the badasses in Salt Lake.
I just do stuff. I don't know. So anyway, I'm honored to participate. Yeah.
And you're going to be Bartholomew.
Bartholomew, yes.
Yeah, awesome. What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake City, or a couple favorite things?
One of the things I love about Salt Lake City, I'm proud of our heritage. We are a city that only exists. I think Salt Lake City is the most libertarian city in the country for this one reason. The only reason we exist is because a group of people, 150, 70 years ago, I don't know, a while back in the 1800s, wanted to do things in a way that grandpa government didn't want to let them do. They wanted to do marriage in a way that grandpa government didn't want to permit. Sure. And they said, rather than give in to grandpa government, we're just going to do it our own way. And so they picked up, left, and came out into the middle of, essentially left the country, because this was Mexico in the time. So they left the country, set up their own city in the most remote place they could, where people would be the least likely to bother them, and set up shop so that they could just do life the way they felt compelled to. And, regardless of what you think of the ideology or the theology, I'm really proud of that heritage. I have pioneer ancestors. They're badasses, So to look at Salt Lake City, the only reason it exists is because of that determination to live on your own terms, and I love that.
What is something that you would change about Salt Lake City?
Something I would change about Salt Lake City. The city itself, I think, is really beautiful. If there's one thing I would hope to change, it might be some of the attitudes of the people. I would hope to loosen up people's attachment to the idea of the binary. You're either good or evil. You're Republican or you're Democrat. You're gay or you're straight. You're a deist or an atheist. You're this or you're that. That's a lie. And I believe that we all have so much more in common with each other than we realize. And the local religion, this is, so as much as I honor it, this is my one complaint with it. It polarizes people so much, and that's completely unnecessary. And I don't believe that is necessarily what Jesus would want us doing. So the one thing I would change I would hope that the local predominant religion would find a way to unite people more than dividing people.
What are some of Paul Duane's favorite eating spots? I'm sure I asked this when I had you on the podcast solo.
Favorite eating spots? Well, I have a burrito dealer that I'm really into right now.
Really?
I don't even know her name. She just works this one corner. Okay. There's this lady. She's my dealer.
Which corner?
2nd South and 6th West.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't tried that one.
Is this censored or uncensored?
Uncensored.
She's fucking amazing. These are the most beautiful street tacos and burritos I've ever had.
Okay.
All local, organic ingredients.
Oh, wait, over by like where the old Metro was.
Yeah.
And you were telling me about.
By the photo collective.
Yeah. You were telling me about
I
her.
think, I don't know, I want to say her name is Maria or something. I don't know. It's some Spanish sounding name. At the risk of sounding racist. I don't know her name. We know each other by face. She knows what I want. I want the chicken burrito when I show up every time. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, you were telling me.
It's $4 for this masterpiece of a burrito. Can't go wrong.
What people visit Salt Lake, people move here. Obviously the city's growing. What is something that you say, hey, go check this out in Salt Lake? What does Paul Duane tell people to go check out, or things to do, or
two things: Temple Square and beer.
Great combination. How about a beer at Temple Square?
I would love to do that. The last time I had a friend in from Temple Square, we went to the Beer Hive, and I showed her around some of our great local brews, because we have good beer that we make here in Salt Lake. I'm proud of our beer. And so we got nice and buzzed, and then walked over to Temple Square and showed her around. The good beer buzz going on.
No, I mean, there's some great history. Back to what you were saying, the heritage of Salt Lake, some great history there at Temple Square.
It's magnificent. It really is.
Anybody that you're excited to meet today, or have you met everybody that's here today?
Well, let's see. I mean, a lot of these people are friends of mine. Some of them I've hung out with a couple days ago. Richard Dutcher and I were having a beer the other night, in fact. But Mary Nickles I've not met in person, so I'm excited, and I'm next to her in the photo. So I'm kind of excited to be next to Mary Nickles in this image. Pat Bagley's been on my show. A lot of these people have been on my show before. Ransom's a good friend of mine. Deanna's a good friend. Doug's been on my show. Senator Dabakis, we're acquainted, so it'll be nice. It's always an honor to hang out with the senator. He's such a great guy.
Yeah.
And Bill Allred I've been meaning to connect more with him, so I'm excited to be hanging out with Bill Allred a bit as well.
Great guy.
Yeah. So it's a combination of really like old friends and people I'm hoping to make friends soon.
And you have the heels and the
Oh, yeah.
hosiery going today.
Oh, totally.
And,
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
rocking my look.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Kat asked for that, and
The Paul Duane look.
the signature look. Yeah, people know me for that as well, and well, that's kind of nice. I do hope people recognize my work for the ideas I'm putting out there, but yeah, it's brand. People know me for this, so whatever.
Your plugs, your website, you got a podcast. People can subscribe in iTunes.
Right. So I've got an internet radio show. You can check that out at paulduane.net, PAULDUANE.net. That's the hub for everything I do. Stop by there. You'll see, anything from photography updates to the latest episodes of the show. So, and we've got a great show coming up on Thursday, which is probably not too timely, but anyway,
I'm not sure when this will go
who knows?
up.
But my monthly series of live shows are always publicized on the website.
You do that every month, huh?
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Hopefully I can get up to that level.
You'll do it.
Anything else?
I'm excited to be on your show, man.
Yeah,
in October. Can't
October. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure when this will exactly be going up, but you're going to be on the October live show, first time
brilliant.
Salt Lake live show. Thank you
Can't
very
wait.
much, by the way. Anything else you want to mention? Plug, shout outs, anything?
Well, I think I want to say about this photograph. Some may see it as highly irreverent, and some may see it as making fun of something people hold sacred. I hope that, and I make a lot of jokes about religion and a lot of jokes about Jesus. Jesus jokes, categorically, my favorite jokes in the whole world, okay? If Jesus was real, I'm convinced he loves these jokes too.
I'm sure he's got a good sense of humor.
Of course he does. How can he not? There's no way he takes himself so seriously that he's not laughing at this right now. There's no way. And in my mind, we're kind of paying tribute to Jesus. Whether Jesus was the whole Savior thing, I'm not sure. I'm not really too concerned about that. But to me, Jesus is an important person in my life because he taught a code of ethics. You read the Sermon on the Mount, and that lays out the whole. He cracks the code for how to live well with our fellow travelers here on Spaceship Planet Earth. It's brilliant. Everything you need to know is in there. And so I have a deep, deep respect for the teachings of Jesus. I think he's worth having some fun with too.
Awesome. Love it, Paul.
Beautiful.
Love chatting with you always.
Thanks, my friend.
I'm going to have right off the bat, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of what you're known for?
My name is Ransom Wydner. I'm a musician, a writer. I'm known mostly for a couple bands, a band called King Nico. It's been around for about 5 or 6 years, won awards and that kind of stuff. Band called Zodiac Empire that signed with Royal Bliss's record label and made some noise that way. I'm in a hip-hop group called Basement Pros. It's more of an Ogden thing maybe, but we do some stuff in Salt Lake for that as well. And then I do some writing, Beehive Bugle, satire stuff, and just generally an agitator, I suppose.
Wow, you keep yourself pretty busy.
I like to be busy, yeah. I feel like if I do a bunch of things kind of well, it makes me feel like I'm super successful at one thing.
What motivates you to keep that busy?
I want to accomplish things, I want to do things that are there when I'm not there,
Absolutely.
You write a great song. How many things, the pharaohs had to build pyramids to be remembered. Nowadays, you can write a great song, or you write a great novel or something that can live on forever, just like a monument, like the pyramids. We've always wanted that as people, as a species. We just crave that immortality. That's why we have all our religions and everything, but specifically, I feel like for artists, that's definitely part of it. I like to express myself. I feel like I get a little bottled up when I don't get something out every now and then. A lot of times you're writing songs just to write songs, but every now and then you have something you just have to get out or you're going to lose it. And being in different bands lets me do that because, I'm in a rock and roll band, kind of a pop band and a hip hop band. And so any feeling I've got, I can get it out, Usually the problem is not having enough to say. So when you do that much stuff.
Absolutely. What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake City, or a couple favorite things about Salt Lake City?
I love Salt Lake. I lived in Salt Lake for about 10 years now. Moved here from Ogden Valley, kind of a tiny little town. Moved around a lot as a kid. I feel at home in Salt Lake City, first of all. The people are great. There's something about Salt Lake City people. Maybe it's the pioneer stock having this this ability to make something out of nothing. When the pioneers got here, it was a desert, a wasteland. I mean, not entirely, but this part of downtown where we are, it wasn't incredibly hospitable, and now it's this flourishing metropolis. And there's something appealing about that to me, the history of it. But I don't know. There's a culture. I like how there's neighborhoods. I like that these days you have this sort of what some of my friends call generica. You go to some towns, and it's like, am I in Minnesota, or am I in Tennessee, or am I in Colorado? All the same, stores are everywhere. And Salt Lake City is one of those cities where you go there and because of the influence of the church and all the architecture. But we just have these great neighborhoods. We got Sugar House, which is so different from Capitol Hill, which is so different from Marmalade, which is so different from Federal Heights, which is so different from Rose Park. You've got all these very unique neighborhoods, and it's just, I don't know, you feel like when you go to Sugar House, you're in Sugar House. Sure. It's,
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing that we preserve in this city, is having those very unique kind of neighborhoods. And I think that it's kind of a symbiotic thing. It attracts people who are artistic, and it also helps nurture kind of an artistic feeling maybe among people.
Yeah.
It's a great place. People love to come here. It's their muse for a lot of people.
Yeah. How did it feel to be asked to be part of this project today?
Oh, great. It's always nice when you're among people of a higher class than yourself. I feel I'm a little outranked, guys like, Pat Bagley and all these, icons, these people who I really respect.
Sure.
Doug Fabrizio is one of my absolute favorites. And good friends, Jay and Paul are friends of mine. And so, it definitely feels great. Whenever I think about the assets I have, talents or whatever, the best thing in my life are the people I know and the people I'm around. And so to be involved in something like this is incredibly validating, to be told, hey, here's all these people that Kat Palmer thinks are cool people in Salt Lake City, and you happen to be one of them. It's a very cool thing.
Absolutely.
Just a cast of all-stars, it's pretty fantastic.
What are some of your favorite eating spots? Ransom's eating spots.
Ooh, that's good.
A couple. I mean, I'm sure you got a gazillion, right?
Yeah.
I know I do.
I love, I used to go to Bayleaf all the time. I haven't been to their new place in Sugar House, but that was my go-to for a long time. Nowadays, I love to hit up that place right next to Urban Lounge. That's
Rye.
Rye, amazing. Yeah, I love
Great
Rye.
food.
Fantastic food. I love that you can watch the show going on next door. That's I think a brilliant move by Lance and Will to open a venue like that, or a restaurant right next to a venue like that. Honestly, the Pie Hole is one of my favorites. I just, I know
Late
that's
night pizza.
Exactly. I was heartbroken when I realized that wasn't a Salt Lake original. I was in Denver.
Oh, they have one in Denver?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that.
I don't know if it originated in Salt Lake. I hear it was a Boise thing, but I don't know. I love that place. You go there 2 a.m, get a slice of pizza after a show. It's not a whole lot of places where you can do that. Go and get something to eat after you're done partying. I love Twist. I don't know if you've been to Twist yet.
It's a new bar downtown.
Yeah, new place right there in Exchange Place. Fantastic, amazing menu, really great drinks, and the building itself is just incredible. So, but if I'm being real though, I mean that's me trying to sound maybe like I'm cooler than I am. I love, like, my number one favorite place to go is this curry cart he parks out by the Wells Fargo building, like 3rd South and Main Street.
Okay.
And it's just a little street vendor thing of curry. That is number one. If I'm treating myself, I'm having a hard day, I'm like, I'm not going to make myself a salad or a sandwich or whatever. I'm going to go get lunch at the curry, the little curry cart. I think it's called the Courier. And
I'll have to give it a try.
Oh,
I haven't
it's
tried
great.
it.
Yeah, turn my whole day around. Fantastic. I love that place.
How can people find you? I mean, you mentioned all the bands. Let's run down that list one more time. And I'll get all those links at iamsaltlake.com and links to get in touch with you. Let's run down that list.
King Nico is kingnico.com. Zodiac Empire, thezodiacempire.com, the Zodiac Empire. Because Zodiac Empire is taken by some somebody way into astrology, I guess. And Basement Pros, basementpros.com. But that one's spelled weird because it's hip hop, so it's got to be spelled weird. So it's bass like a bass guitar, mint just like a mint leaf, and then pros, P-R-O-S, B-A-S-S-M-I-N-T, P-R-O-S. The rest are spelled normally. King Nico, I guess. Do you want to have a normal way to spell that? So that's K-I-N-G-N-I-K-O. But we're all on Facebook and Instagram and stuff.
And people can add you or connect with you on Facebook too. Do you care about that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've got plenty of friend requests to go. I'm not one of some of the people here today.
They're going to be like, no, I'm full.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to get a friend request into Bill Allred, but yeah, you can hook up on my Facebook or whatever. No problem. Ransom Wydner, Ransom. If you just look for Ransom, probably it.
And again, I'll get the links on the show notes. Anything else you want to add real quick before I let you go and get more pictures taken? And
no, just love what you do. Salt Lake City kicks ass, and you're a good ambassador of it.
Thank you so much, Ransom.
Thank you.
I'm going to have you introduce yourself in kind of your role with this project.
My name is Paula J. Dahlberg. I'm a makeup artist and hairstylist. My role today with Kat Palmer and the Last Supper shoot, it's a collaboration definitely between several people, mostly I do believe between Kat and I and Dina Marie. I'm going to be doing hair, makeup, and a bit of styling and taking care of some of the visuals.
And you're actually going to be in the shoot as well?
Yes, I am.
And I actually have a question specifically for you. Why did you want to play Judas? I heard you requested that.
I did. I was the first thing when Kat said that she and Dina were talking about doing a Last Supper shoot and asked me if I wanted to do hair and makeup and be in it. I told her I would only do it if I could be Judas. And I maybe in the story of Judas, he's labeled kind of a bad guy, the whistleblower, if you will. And in my mind, the way I always saw the story is if he wouldn't have been the whistleblower and kind of the guy that turned Jesus in, Jesus wouldn't have been the martyr that he was and wouldn't really be seen as, I guess, in my mind, as the savior. My personality is a little bit the same way, where I will point out the big purple elephant in the room and be the whistleblower. So I connected with that character very well.
What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake City? Do you have like a favorite thing about the city or a couple favorite things?
I have several favorite things, and I didn't know I had favorites until I moved from Salt Lake. I moved to Northern California, and I was there for a year, and I fought for a year to get back. And one of the things that really moved me one time, I was on a flight to Canada for some business, and they had a picture of the city with the mountains in the background, and they were getting ready for the Olympics. And those mountains resonated with me, and I realized how much I was a part of the mountains and a part of Utah. My family, my ancestors came over with the pioneers. They were the pioneers. And Salt Lake is very much a part of me. It's not only the mountains, it's easy, simple living. It's laid back. It's easy to get everywhere. People are friendly. The city's so clean. And I too have been, the 43 years that I've been in Salt Lake, I realize that there is a certain growth and a low inner hum, if you will, and it's a strong hum of hustle and bustle, and you don't really recognize it unless you're in it. And so the art scene here is really up and coming. The restaurants, I'm a big foodie, so the restaurants really are fascinating me right now. And again, the art scene is just blowing up.
You mentioned food. What are some of your favorite places to eat?
Well, we are in Ichiban, and I have a special place in my heart for Ichiban.
Beautiful place, by the way.
Yes, it's a great, and I guess it has quite the history. Some of my other favorite places, just went to Finca the other day. It was lovely, tapas style. Love their new location. I always loved Pago. And then one of the other staples, Maza. I mean,
great food. Best
aioli I've ever had. Where else would I say? Hub and Spoke has been one of our places lately, quite like that. And Kimmy's over in Sugar House is wow. Everything from the decor to the coffee shop in the foyer, and you could sit at the bar and just have some appetizers. Kimmy's definitely is one of my favorites.
What are your thoughts on being considered a badass of Salt Lake City?
That's a strange one. To me, it sounds a little narcissistic. I've been called a badass before, actually, by several people. But I think if I have to look outside myself and see myself, I just do what's in my heart. and what I feel. And I'm not saying with no regard for other people, but no concern of other opinions, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's what people see in me and consider me a badass. I don't know.
Awesome. How can people listening find you, like connect with you if they wanted to get in touch with you? Because you're a local hairstylist, and I'm assuming you take new clients and whatnot. How can people find you?
I work at a great little salon in Sugar House, right on 11th East, called Saluna. But mostly people can find me on Facebook and Instagram. So that's where I do most of my social stuff.
Which is, I guess...
it's Paula J. Dahlberg.
Paula J. Dahlberg. I'll put the links on the show notes at iamsaltlake.com. Anything else you want to add, mention, shout outs, anything about this whole project you want to say?
I'm fascinated with the people that Kat has gotten to.
Anybody
be a part
excited
of
that
this.
you were excited to meet today?
Dina Marie.
Yeah.
She and I have always kind of been doing this like social network circle with each other, never actually met each other. And I'm so excited. And I guess she's expecting a baby boy, and that's another exciting adventure for her. So yeah. But I'm excited about everyone, actually.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Paula. Jay Whittaker, why don't you kind of introduce yourself and what are you known for in Salt Lake City?
What am I known for in Salt Lake City is returning Redbox DVDs promptly on time, late bill payments to Questar, and as well as Rocky Mountain Power, or Pacific Core as I know. Shout out to them. I'll see you in a minute. Debbie, payment will be due on the 15th. But I'm also known as a comedian. That's what I'm primarily known as. Air Force veteran, and just a regular token black dude.
Well, in Geek Show Podcast.
Yeah, Geek Show Podcast. How could I forget that? Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, God, please, Carrie, if you listen, don't kill me. Yeah, Geek Show Podcast, Comic-Con, cosplayer. That's me.
Awesome. And you've been on, I Am Salt Lake a few times.
Yes, this is my second time, Chris. Thank you for having me.
We've had 2 episodes with you.
Yeah, excuse me. This is my
third time sitting down chatting.
Third
Obviously,
time.
this won't be as intense. So this whole project that you're doing with Kat Palmer here, you're Simon.
Yeah.
How did you feel when Kat approached you to be part of this?
I was like, hell yeah, because first of all, like, okay, I was hanging out in Geek Show, Jimmy Martin's house for 4th of July.
Sure.
And Kat happened to take probably the greatest picture I've ever taken and ever been a part of. There was a picture. It was 4th of July. I'm drinking. I'm wearing my American underwear. Like I'm wearing it actually the same underwear now. Don't worry, I've changed it. I do laundry, but I mean like, and so some people pull up and they have a Confederate flag out and they're like, look what we just stole from our neighbors. I'm like, let's burn that shit. And so, yeah, Kat happened to be like right in the vicinity as we're burning the picture. And it's a cool photo. It's a really good.
Yeah.
Like I looked at it. I was like, wow, and it's like my face. We burned it in the center, and my face is coming out of the burning part of the Confederate flag, and I'm flipping off the camera while in my regular American flag underwear, and you see a white lady kissing me, and it was a friend of mine. She's from Mississippi. And she's kissing me, and she hates that flag more than most black people do. Like, and so this was in July when South Carolina was dealing with the whole taking the flag down, and so for me, and that's a personal thing for me because when I was stationed down in Fort Gordon, Augusta, Georgia, I used to go up to Columbia, South Carolina to hang out with just hang out, which wasn't a short drive, and I got my ass kicked. My first experience with the Confederate flag was when I got my ass jumped right outside of Applebee's with 2 other black guys that I'm in the Air Force with.
Really?
And so, yeah.
Did you share that when you were on the pod? Because I don't think I've heard that story.
That's not. Yeah, I don't. That was a long time. Well, I mean, it was never like pertinent, I guess, to the conversation. But I mean, like, yeah,
sure.
like I dealt. So to burn that was like, yeah, it meant a lot to me because those guys that did kick my ass. They had a Confederate flag bumper sticker, and one of them had the Stars and Bars tattooed on his arm. So, yeah, as my face was on the concrete, yeah, it meant a lot for me to burn that. So, like, did it piss a lot of people off when I put it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram? Yeah, I lost some followers. I lost some fans in the process. Worth it. I'd do it all over again. My mom, I sent the picture to my mom and my dad first, and my mom was like, I'm proud of you for your political stance. but do you have to be in your underwear every time you do something? So, but it was cool. And so like, Kat captured that moment. And, so when Kat reached out for me to do this, I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Like whatever, I trust. And, Kat has a great vision and she's a great photographer. So it's just like, it was just one of those things that, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Anything for her.
Anybody that you're excited to meet today, or you pretty much met everybody? Or
there's a lot of people that like.
People,
I've worked with Duane before. I loved him. Ransom is one of those guys I met doing working in Sundance. Bill Allred, grateful for him, obviously. Or Radio from Hell, they show me a lot of love, and that he's technically a bastard of Geek Show, so but I'm honestly happy to just meet anyone here because some of these people I've never met. Sure. But Kat Palmer's just one of those people that brings in, she knows great people. And I'm privileged to be a part of this. She could have reached out to a lot of other comedians. There's so many great comedians in Salt Lake City, and for me to just be here is an absolute privilege.
What is one or two things that Jay likes about Salt Lake City as a whole?
Well, I'm originally from Los Angeles, first and foremost. I'm originally from Los Angeles in Orange County, California, and so it's weird. Like my heart bleeds. California. Hell, as I'm talking to you guys, talking to you right now, I'm wearing a Raiders hat, and I got a LA Kings, shit on, socks on. So it's like
you represent.
Yeah, Cali. I always represent Cali, but. As I said on this podcast, home isn't where the heart is. Home is where the start is, and this is where I started. So Salt Lake City means the absolute world to me as far as comedy. The scene that we have here is so strong. There's so many comedians that are getting recognized. Abby Harrison was on Bob and Tom. Jackson Banks is getting movie roles, and a lot of people from Salt Lake are becoming parts of festivals, national recognized festivals. Eileen Dobbins just got into She Devil Festival. I mean, there's so many great comedians that are a part of this, and so I love being a part of Salt Lake. I'd rather be a small fish in a small pond and just. I could move back home, but it's just better here.
It's exploded.
Yeah, it's exploded.
It really has.
And so, it's just to anyone listening that is trying to come up, whatever you're doing, whether you're a comic, an artist, or hell, just Salt Lake City is just where it's at. I mean, there's so much here. I mean, hell, we're just in this secret location. Are we allowed to talk about this location right now?
No, yeah. This is going to be up after the project.
Okay, thank God.
So,
thank God.
Yeah. I know a lot of this was top secret, but we can talk about anything.
Thank God, because I got a TS clearance, so this.
You've been wanting to talk about it all. You're like, I can't talk about this.
Yeah, everyone's like, where are you at today? I'm like,
I can't tell you.
I can't tell you, man.
Yeah, Ichiban.
Yeah,
we're at Ichiban.
Yeah, Ichiban. So, but bottom line, Salt Lake City is at the pulse of this city is powerful. There's always people moving and shaking and doing great things, and so I'm just privileged to be a part of it.
What Jay's favorite eating spots currently?
My favorite eating spots
in Salt Lake City, obviously.
Salt Lake City. Well, okay. I love Maxwell's downtown. Maxwell's East Coast Eatery. I will say that's kind of like the second birthplace of my comedy career. I would
really
when Wise Guys had a location at Trolley Square over by where Green Street used to be. Yeah, I'm that old, folks. And I would kill time and go to Maxwell's and just write and have a whiskey and some pizza and have myself a Manhattan. And I still go there. They still show me love. I still go there and have my Thug Brunch. And Thug Brunch is where you just have wine and cheese, but it's in a plastic cup, and it's mostly American cheese, but it's good stuff, or some string cheese. But Maxwell's is one of those spots. I do love Freebirds. Freebirds, I think, is a really cool spot. It's for those
pretty good burritos.
Yeah, great burritos. They make a good burrito bowl. Good bang for your buck. And they're operated and owned by veterans, so I support that. Let's see. I love Trio. What's the Sugar House what's the pub? What's the pub spot? No. It's not Sugar House.
Well, there's Sugar House Pub. There's Fiddlers.
Bingo, Sugar House Pub. That's a good spot. They also have some great fish tacos. Me being a Cali boy, I love fish tacos more than and they make these trout fish tacos that are really, really good. So that's why I love them.
What is something that Jay would change about Salt Lake City?
To be honest, I think what I would change about Salt Lake City, you know what? Just kind of like, hey, let us buy vodka at Costco. Like, come on, just let me just walk into, Harmon's and get like a fifth of vodka, please. Like, let's just knock that out. Let's just it would be much more appreciated if I could just do that. Yeah, let's do that. I don't really have much that would change. Everything else is pretty much fine. Let's extend our last call to maybe
liquor laws. So pretty much a liquor law.
Yeah, I don't have an alcohol problem. I'm
just to have it available.
Yeah, just have it available.
Yeah,
I'm from Los Angeles. I'm used to having it readily available. And maybe I would like to see a professional hockey team here one day. It bothers me more than anything in this world that Phoenix, Arizona has the Arizona Coyotes. It's 110 goddamn degrees out there, and it legit snows in Utah.
And we don't have we have Grizzlies.
I know, but I'm just saying we do have a great hockey fan base. I'm a huge hockey fan. I will say this: I'm a LA Kings fan till the day I die. But if Utah was to get a professional hockey team out here, some things would be into question.
Let's run down the list. Websites, ways people can get out, get a hold of Jay, see upcoming shows, stand-up shows you're going to be part of. How can people connect with you?
People can connect with me. The quickest way is via Twitter and Instagram. I love Instagram and Twitter. Hit me up at there, Token J, Token like black dude, and Jay like Jay. And then hit me up on Facebook, Jay Whittaker, WHITTAKER, and then jaywhitakercomedy.com, as well as geekshowpodcast.com. Follow Geek Show at Geek Show, and we're gonna be at Comic-Con. We're gonna be having fun, and just check me out on the wiseguyscomedy.com website. I'm usually headlining there, or doing a guest set there, and so I just love Salt Lake City, and I'm privileged to be a part of this. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Jay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have you introduce yourself and what it is that you're known for.
Well, I am Sister Dottie S. Dixon, a proud Mormon housewife from Spanish Fork, Utah. And I've been married to Donald D. Dixon for 36 years, and we have a gay son named Donnie P. Dixon. What am I known for? Lots of things I can't say, but mostly she's known for her, mostly I'm known for my activism. She stands for all LGBTQ issues, women's issues, all those Asian-Americans, all them Hispanic people. She loves to stand up for minorities, those who are miniaturized. Yes, of course. And she is all about just being a rabble-rouser and oftentimes just being a watchdog for the downtrodden. That's what I'm known for.
Awesome, and I'm honored to sit down here and chat with you finally, get to meet you.
Well, thank you so much.
Good. How did you feel like this whole project that you're part of, when Kat approached you to be part of this? I mean, what was your first thought?
Well, I was flabbergasted and ever so honored. Kat, I've seen her work. I posted her work right after the marriage equality victory at the Supreme Court, where she done that Jesus thing out on the Salt Flats with all those people in the rainbow colors. It just made me cry.
Wasn't that an awesome photo?
It was awesome. And I posted it, and then we chatted and talked, and she said, "Sister, I'm about to do another project. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Oh, anything to be in one of your photo shoots." So I've taken off this whole Sunday just to get ready and excited and kind of in character for this photo shoot. I've met some really important people in there. A little intimidating. Mary Nickles, good heavens. Doug Fabrizio, I have been on his show before, and I love him to pieces. Pat Bagley, we wrote a book together, so some of them are old friends. But others I'd not met before, and I'm just so honored, just like I'm honored meeting you.
Oh, great meeting you as well. What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake in general, overall?
Oh, good heavens. My favorite thing about Salt Lake City now is that I can take Front Runner all the way from Spanish Fork and I can get off onto tracks and get all over town anywhere I need to go. Sometimes I have to transfer on a bus. There are sometimes some characters on the bus that I'm not real fond of, but that most of the time I do like. My favorite thing about Salt Lake City, you'd expect me to say Temple Square. It's just not. It's just not my favorite. My favorite thing is all of them old houses on South Temple.
Aren't they beautiful?
They are gorgeous, and you could catch me practically anytime I come to Salt Lake City, parking my Escalade and just walking up and down them streets, seeing the houses. I always try to park on a different street a little further up just to take them all in. I find that historically amazing, and I can't imagine all the stories that have gone on and memories that have been made in some of them big houses. So that's my favorite part.
What about some local eating spots? Do you have any favorite places that you like to go eat at?
Good
or
heavens. Well,
one or two that come to mind? Or
my gay son, Donnie, always likes me to drop him off at that gay bar Triangulations, and he has himself a couple of Bud Lights and a shot or two of tequila, and then he'll say, Mama, let's go down to the Red Iguana. I'll hop over to J.C. Penney, or if I'm in really an extravagant mood, Nordstrom, and then I'll pick him back up. We eat at the Red Iguana. When I go out with Don, it's either Chuck-a-Rama or the Golden Corral.
I love it.
Thanks.
Why was John the Beloved important for you? Because I heard you requested to play John the Beloved.
Well, oh my. I just think John the Beloved, the book in the Bible.
Yeah.
Everything you've ever heard about him, he was very meek and very humble. Two things I have to really strive to be. So I honor them and other people who seem to have had them. John the Beloved was right next to Jesus at the Last Supper, so he must have been pretty darn special. Yeah. And I think he probably was somebody who was a peacemaker and someone who tried to pull all the sides together, just like I do. I try to bring forth collaboration and cooperation rather than all of this division and fighting and siloing and all that stuff that goes on in our state so much.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
It does.
Good.
How can people connect with you, find you online?
Well, I have two Facebook pages. Dottie Dixon is my regular Facebook page, but Facebook, I don't know if you know this, they only allow you 5,000 friends.
Isn't that
ridiculous? I have so much more than that. And then I have my fan page, Sister Dottie S. Dixon, and I can have as many friends as I want on that one. Gina Barberi told me about that, and I was so happy when she did because all these other people got to get let in. I used to have to go to my Dottie Dixon page and defriend a whole bunch of people. Like someday I'd just go in and defriend all the Jessicas. Randomly or the Beckys.
You were like, no more Beckys.
Or the Stevens.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back around full circle in a couple of days, but they'd have to get into a waiting line, and I could let a whole bunch more into the corral.
And I'll put those links for the show notes for this podcast at iamsaltlake.com.
Okay.
And that way people can connect with you. Anything else you want to mention, promote, shout outs, anything about this project that you want to mention before we stop recording here?
Yes. I think Kat is a brave and very talented photographer. Look at all these people she's been able to bring together to do this modern day contemporary version of what she calls the bad A's. I don't know that I'm such a bad A, but I'm honored to be with these other bad ones. And, I'd like to put a shout out. I don't know when you're going to air this. When are you airing it?
You know, it's up to Kat. I'm not sure when she wants this up. Okay. Just with this whole project she has going on.
Well, something I've got big that's going down. Sister Dottie, next Saturday is the MC, and she's going to be pulled around in a pedicab for the Salt Lake AIDS Walk with a big megaphone.
There you go.
So she's going to do the MC work at the beginning, and that's a really important project to me this week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll have to come check that out.
Okay.
And, again, follow you online. That way people can stay up to date on things
I'm doing.
All things you're doing and
recipes.
Involved.
I put up stuff that'll help you with every holiday. I put up very important news articles that I think people should, and I am not shy in my opinion neither. And other than that, you can find out all sorts of interesting things at my two Facebook pages.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dottie.
Thank you, honey.
It was great chatting with you. Much honor.
Very much mine, too.
So Dina Marie, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Here we are again.
Back on the podcast, but this time part of a big project.
Yes. A large collaboration with all sorts of people of Salt Lake City, personalities and public figures. And how crazy is this?
It's really crazy and really awesome. You're actually one of the, let's see, you're Philip.
I'm Philip. I found that out this morning when we were sent our, the Last Supper photo, and we can see the names of who we are. So I just did my shoot and recreated Philip.
Awesome. I mean, this is kind of yours and Kat's project, but actually everybody I've chatted with, I kind of have, what are you known for? I mean, I know I've had you on the podcast and you got a lot of projects. Share with the listeners what you're known for.
For a few things, for acting, a lot of local professional theater, and I do some film projects here and there. And I also do an entertainment segment on KUTV Channel 2 every Friday called Dina on the Local Scene. And I talk about 3 upcoming events for that weekend or week. And I also write an A&E blog called The Salt Life with Dina Marie for company Mirko Local.
And like I mentioned, go back and go listen to Dina's full story. I had her on the podcast, but why don't you kind of share? So you and Kat were hanging out one day.
Yeah.
I mean,
so how
the
this
story.
all came to be.
Yeah. Let's hear that.
So we were at Sapa. We were having sushi, and I mentioned to her that I really liked one of her recent photo shoots where she had a group of people out at the Salt Flats, and she had Greg Shearer out there in a yellow raincoat, and his hair was down, and he had his beard and his mustache, and he looks a lot like Jesus right now, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I said we should do. One of us, maybe it was me, maybe it was Kat, I don't even know now, but I said something about him looking like Jesus and maybe doing a recreation of the Last Supper. And then Kat was right on it, saying not, to use Greg, but then to use movers and shakers of Salt Lake City as everybody else around him. So that's kind of how it started. And right then and there, we got really excited and we started making a list of potential names of people that we would want in the photo. And you kind of think, is it really going to happen? Are we going to get these people to agree? Are we really going to get everyone in the same place at the same time? And we did.
And they're all, anybody here that you haven't met, or being involved in the city, I'm sure you know most of these people, right?
I know everybody. I think that the only one that I haven't met is Pat Bagley. And, you know what? I hadn't met Jay Whittaker until just now. Oh, and Senator Dabakis. So just a couple.
Yeah, and again, you know who these people are and the roles they play in Salt Lake City and all of that. But I might have asked you this when you were on the podcast before, but I'm kind of asking this, everybody sitting down today. What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake?
It's home to me, and it's where I get to do what I want to do. I don't feel like I've ever lacked for anything while I've been here. I feel like I've been able to make a name for myself and make a career for myself, and I've just loved it. And I've loved my home.
Is there anything that you would change about Salt Lake or that you would like to see different?
I don't know. I feel like we're moving in a very good direction and a very progressive and an open-minded direction. So I don't know. I think we're getting, a little better all the time.
There's not that one thing that just bugs you and you're just like, oh, why can't Salt Lake be this way?
Not for me.
Not for you.
No.
No, I like that. I like that though.
I could something.
And I know how it is. There's little things here and there, but for the most part, it's like, gosh, I don't want to complain because it's such an awesome city. Every place you go is going to have its little things that you're like, why can't it be different? But,
I don't feel like I've really run into that personally. Yeah. So that's, maybe it's lucky, or maybe most people would say that. I don't know. But I really haven't. And, I spent time away and I spent time in New York, but this is home and I really have no intention to leave. It's where, I'm building my life with my husband, and I couldn't tell you this last time I was on, but we're having a baby.
I know.
So I can finally announce that and talk about that. So,
It's your first one, right?
It's my first one. Yeah.
I'm jealous.
So this is home. It's where we'll raise our baby and our family. So everything about it right now just feels good. It's
That's
where
awesome.
He'll grow up. It's a he.
It's a he.
Yeah.
Do you have a name, or do you want to try to get into?
I do, but I won't tell.
Okay.
you yet.
We don't need to get into all that on the podcast, and maybe down the road we'll sit down and chat. Let's say, and again, I might have asked you this when you've been on the podcast. I've chatted with so many people in Salt Lake. What is an area or something that people need to check out in Salt Lake besides Ichiban? I mean, we're here at Ichiban. I mean, by the way, many thanks to them for letting us use
I
the
know.
space
And did you
here
know
to
I've never
record.
been here?
Yeah. No, I've never been here
Ridiculous,
either.
right?
I've
It's
never been here.
It's so cool.
It's
I don't know
beautiful.
why I haven't.
Beautiful.
Yeah. You know what I love about Salt Lake and Utah are the beautiful outdoor locations.
So people go visit those.
Like
Yeah.
Mirror Lake.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. I love to go up there with my husband. And I really love Park City. I love the mountains.
You're a mountain girl.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hiking. You
Sometimes.
do all that. Any hiking trails?
Sometimes.
And again, I might have asked you this. It seems like I did.
You know, we haven't hiked this summer. This summer's
Okay.
been so busy, but I just love being outdoors and I love relaxing by, a body of water like the lake or just being out in nature. I need that. And I love spring and summer when I am able to do that. I guess the one thing about living here for me is the winter. I don't do so well in the winter and I don't do any outdoor sports.
I think we chat because I'm the same way. It's like winter. I don't like to be cold.
No, I don't either. And I don't like to drive in it. So I
Yeah.
just want to, hibernate in my house till it's done.
It's not so much me. It's you don't know what the other drivers are going to
Exactly.
do when they're on the road.
So I guess that is the one thing about living here that I could do without our winters. Although last winter it was
Last one was
non-existent.
great for
Yeah,
me.
I know.
Not so much the skiers, but
Yeah, I agree.
How can people find you? I know you have a lot of outlets. You're on the social medias a lot. Connect with you. How can run down the list?
Facebook and Instagram are probably the easiest
Top
ways to
places,
find me.
yeah.
Just Dina Marie, DeenaMarie. Instagram, Dina_Marie. And then on my Instagram bio, I have a link to a website and you can find a bunch more there. So easy. I'm easy to find.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll end it there. Thank you so much, Dina. And
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing, I Am Salt Lake to be a part of this project.
I love the I Am Salt Lake podcast. You guys listening right now, go back through and listen to the one-on-one interviews with all sorts of awesome people in Salt Lake. I love your podcast.
Thanks a lot, Dina.
Well, it's a thrill to be here. I love art. It is the passion of my life, and it's many different variations, and it's just a thrill to be able to be here as such an incredible creative team is able to be put together with so many different talents to create, and it's just wonderful to be invited.
I'm going to have you introduce yourself. Introduce yourself and what you're known for, I guess.
Yeah, my name is Jim Dabakis, and I'm a government worker here in Salt Lake.
I think most people in Salt Lake probably know who you are, but there might be a few people that don't. What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake City? Or something you like? A couple things, one thing, whatever comes to mind.
I thrive on our amazing diversity in Salt Lake. People from other metropolitan areas can't imagine that there's anything other than standard Scandinavian folks walking around here. Yeah. And I find the west side of Salt Lake and the east side and the north side and the south side to just always be brimming with different people and different ideas. And we pretty much get along. It's a terrifically wonderful place to live.
How did you get, when you were approached? I mean, let's talk a little bit about this project that we're recording in Ichiban right now, this photo shoot that Kat Palmer's doing. When she approached you?
Well, I was a little nervous with the idea. I mean, I certainly in no way wanted to demean anybody's religious ideas or values or anything. And as soon as I heard Fabrizio was doing it, I figured, wow, now there's a safe guy. So if Doug's doing it, I'll do it.
Well, let's see. And you're playing Matthew in it. I mean, any? I guess that probably was just given to you. I didn't know if there was any meaning behind that or anything.
No, I don't think so. But whether it is being invited occasionally to stand on a theater stage and portray a part, or get involved with artists who are painting canvases, or it's a great thrill for me to be involved around artists as they are in the creative process. And so I'm very excited about what the outcome will be. But for me, the process and being here and meeting everybody and watching how everything is done and watching the creativity and the inspiration of artists is, it's one of the great human values that I don't think we pay enough attention to.
What are some of Jim's favorite places to eat in town?
Well,
local eating spots. I always like to chat about those.
Yeah, if I am here and I'm taking out fancy officials, I think the New Yorker is still pound for pound. It's very old and very staid, but it's still my kind of eat out for fancy. As far as just plain going out and eating, I eat a lot at the other place on 3rd South. It's just kind of a diner approach to life.
That's what it's called, the other place.
Yeah, it's called. Yeah.
Well, I knew that. I was just thinking for the listeners, thinking, well, I eat at that other place.
Yeah, exactly. I love M's. I love the. Okay, you're gonna have to edit this out. What's the place on Main Street that has the Spanish food or the little?
Trying to think.
What do you call it? It's probably 450 South-ish. Anyway, that place.
That place,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
My mind's drawing a blank too, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
What is it like? What is something you would like to see change in Salt Lake, or something different? I mean, what is something you would like to see different or change in Salt Lake?
I would like to see more of the barriers between our communities come down. I mean, we all get into a comfortable range, a kind of silo where we find people that are the same economic or the same political or the same ethnic group or the same age group or the same religious group, and we're comfortable there. And the most interesting moments for me come when we break down those silos and everybody's a little uncomfortable and we're sitting down with others who don't share our values and our opinions and our ideas, and we're able to actually have an exchange there that isn't Fox television and people screaming at each other, but simply sitting down and doing more listening than talking. So I wish we could find a way, and art is one of the ways that we're able to bring people together who have differing points of view. One of the great experiences that I've ever had was during the last legislative session. I'm a senator. Was sitting down over a period of 3 months with the Mormon Church and hammering out the details of the LGBT non-discrimination issue, and to give and to take and to push and to shove and to negotiate and to talk and to consider, and then finally seeing the LGBT community and the LDS Church, after the horrors of Prop 8, come together. So I'd like to see more of a lot of real diversity coming together and speaking from their hearts.
Yeah. How can people find you? I know you're online. I mean, is there an easy way to connect with
Facebook
you?
Facebook is good. You can either go to James Dabakis or Jim Dabakis for Senate on Facebook. Is a good way to begin the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll put all those links. Anything else you want to add before we shut the recording?
Yeah, we have
anything.
We have a television show on Channel 4 every Sunday morning called Utah Progressives. It's on at 9:30 opposite the Spoken Word. So either use TiVo or just tune us in some Sunday morning.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thank you. I'm just going to have you introduce yourself, who you are, what you're known for.
Well, I'm Mary Nickles. I have been in Salt Lake for 24 and a half years working for Channel 2. I started as a reporter and weekend anchor, and I've been with Channel 2 ever since.
24 years.
Yes.
Long time.
Actually, we just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary, and we moved here when we had only been married 6 months.
Where did you move from?
I worked in Yakima, Washington. I had to shoot, edit, roll my own teleprompter, you name it, and great experience, and met my husband there. And we moved here for the job with Channel 2. And we thought 2-year contract, that's it. We are so out of here. We don't ski. We're not LDS. Why would we want to stay in Salt Lake?
Well, especially 24 years ago.
Yeah. We signed that 2-year contract, and they kept making me happy, and we fell in love with the area. Our kids are happy here. We love it.
And you're obviously still here. And I mean, now today to sit down and chat with this photo shoot that Kat Palmer's doing.
What a bunch of weird people, huh?
What a bunch of weird people. I mean, you're playing, it says James Minor. I guess he's one of the, I don't know. That's
I didn't do my homework on it.
Yeah,
Kat told me that there are a few who look a little more feminine. So she has the women sitting where the little more feminine people are.
Yeah.
So that was my
No, and that's
luck.
absolutely. When she approached you for this, any thoughts in your head at the time, or
Well,
was
and it was funny because I'm thinking I don't want to be anti-religious. I
Sure.
don't want nothing to denigrate the Last Supper. And it's like, well, but it's really not a picture of something. It's a painting.
Yeah.
It's art. And you can interpret that however you want. So
And it's,
for her to say that I'm a badass, that was pretty awesome.
A badass in Salt Lake. I mean,
Yeah.
you got these 12 people that are making Salt Lake City and you're one of them.
Well, and I was surprised because I had never met Kat, but she had that impression of me that I'm a badass, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Awesome. Anybody here that you haven't met, or
There are a few. There are a few. I know. I think Dina and Kat are friends, and I think I know Dina pretty well. And Dina was following my cancer battle, and I think that's part of the badassedness that got me here. I went through surgery, chemo, and radiation, and only missed 4 days of work. I was on air every day. Bald head or wig or whatever. I'd hang the wig on a little vase on my desk and wear it on the air.
But you showed up.
I showed up, and I think that helped me keep going. I think I didn't want people to worry about me. I wanted to show I'm strong, and I'd show up for work every day. Every once in a while, I'd say, I think I'm done. I'm going to go home. And it was fine. Had a lot of good support. So
we definitely got a badass award from me for that, hearing about that. But what is your favorite thing about Salt Lake City? One thing or two things, or what do you like about Salt Lake? I mean, you say you've been here for so long, and you see change. And
I just my whole family's in Seattle.
Okay.
80% of my family is in Seattle still, and I was born and raised there. And it's an open, honest, artsy, fun city. And I think Salt Lake's a lot like that, but people don't know it. So I've kind of been a proponent of Salt Lake City as a different place. It's diverse. It really is. And it has the arts, and it's clean, and people are nice. And I love it here. Yeah.
What are some of one or two or a few current favorite local eating spots that Mary likes to eat at?
Well, a lot of chefs come into the station.
Sure.
And one of my favorite parts of my job is that I get to learn something from these chefs. I learn something new every day in the kitchen, and I love to cook. I consider myself a foodie. I love to cook. I love to learn new things. I love to make nice meals in a short amount of time. I coached volleyball. I've coached my kids. I've worked at 4:00 in the morning, that shift, for more than 18 years now. But I still love to cook. And people are like, oh, as long as you don't have to be in the kitchen. No, I want to be in the kitchen. So I'm lucky to learn from Todd Gardner from Taqueria 27. I learned from, I don't even know all their names, but all of these chefs who come in, I don't really go to restaurants that much because I work so early in the morning.
Yeah.
And my shift is all weird. I eat lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning, usually leftovers at my desk. And after work, every once in a while, I'll go to a restaurant and meet friends for lunch, but at 1:30. So that's a weird time too. But no, I love meeting all these chefs and learning from them.
Absolutely.
Almost every day.
What is there anything that you would change about Salt Lake, or that you would like to see a little different?
I would say the impression of prejudice and being judgmental. I try to compare it to Boston. I mean, if you are Catholic in Boston, you're a lot like a Mormon in Salt Lake. You are the majority religion, and it's going to affect how people see you, how you see other people, because you're the majority. And when you put it in that perspective, it's like it's not just the Mormon religion, it's a majority religion, and that's how people react. And I try to tell my family, the diversity and different things, and they're all in Seattle, but my kids didn't see many black people growing up here. We'd go to Seattle and different areas of the country, and it's like, well, we're getting better. We're getting better, and there's always hope. But the religious aspect, I think, is the only thing I would want to make more balanced.
How can people connect with you? How can people find you? I mean, when are you on the news? Ways to connect with you.
I'm on Channel 2, KUTV.com. When you look at any of the list of our people, I'm there. And I've been there. I've had the same email address for 24 and a half years at Channel 2. So Nickles at KUTV2.com, or I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram.
Pretty much do it all.
I can try to do it all.
And I'll get all those. I'll get all those links. I'll put them at iamsaltlake.com with this podcast episode show notes. Any final words? Anything you want to mention before we stop recording here? Any more thoughts on this project, or anything you want to mention?
I just am thrilled that somebody thought I'm a badass. And I like that. I like that as a new label for me. Because I think I'm pretty down to earth. I think I love people. I love getting to know people. And I'm just a neighbor. And if people recognize me or realize something else, I love that I've been able to use my cancer as a positive. I've been able to use it as a message for early detection and hopefully spread the word that way. But you always want to turn something into a positive. So being a badass can be a good thing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mary. We'll end it there, and we'll let you get back and meet the rest of the people here.
Thanks.
I'm going to have you kind of introduce yourself. Let's just say who you are and what you're known for.
Well, I'm Bill Allred, and what am I known for? I'm known probably for being on the Radio from Hell show on X96, and my many good philanthropic community works.
And you do the Let's Go Eat Show podcast.
Do the Let's Go Eat Show podcast, and then also do a monthly show at 50 West Broadway. It's a live panel discussion group on various topics called What Do You Think, Utah?
Wow, so you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
And I've had you on the I Am Salt Lake podcast, you and your son. We've chatted about the Let's Go Eat show. And so, people, if they want to find out a little bit more about you.
And you were on the Let's Go Eat show as well. So people want to find out about Chris Hollifield, then
there you go.
They go theletsgoeatshow.com.
Well, how did you feel when you were approached to be part of this project with, these 12 individuals, awesome, players of Salt Lake City? How did that make you feel?
Well, at first I didn't know exactly what it was.
Sure.
Kat Palmer just said, "Will you do this?"
You're like,
and
what is that?
And I said, "Well, yeah, sure. What is it?" And then I didn't think about it. I really didn't think about what it was until a couple of days ago when I called her and said, "Now, what is it that we're doing exactly?" Sure. I just sort of agreed to. I liked her. I went and looked at her. I've never met her, but I went and looked at her Facebook page and some of her art and her photography. And I thought, well, I like this person, so yeah, I'll do it. But I didn't kind of realize that it was, supposed to be like people who make Salt Lake what it is, or
sure, yeah, the badasses of Salt Lake, really, like she likes to say.
Yeah, and I kind of thought, well, I wonder why I got. Who suggested me? I don't think she knows me, really.
Well,
I don't know how she found me.
I know when she was kind of putting this together, she was kind of trying to get different, players in each area of Salt Lake and kind of what they're involved in. And I know you with radio. You've been doing Radio from Hell for, gosh, how many years
27, 20, 30 years? I don't know.
Let's just say 30 years. You're a big player of Salt Lake, in my opinion.
Well, thanks. And I was pretty flattered by the whole thing. And then just the other day, she's telling me who's all in it, Mary Nickles. Oh, yeah, I know Pat Bagley. Sure, I know Pat and Sister Dottie and Ransom. So I know.
You know it. Anybody here you don't know that you've never met?
I have never met the guy who's playing Jesus. Greg.
Yeah, that's a good friend of Kat's.
I know the name James Miner, but I don't believe I've ever met him. And I'd never met. That's Mary Nickles as James Miner. I got it.
You're playing Thaddeus.
Yeah, and I have no idea who Thaddeus is.
Yeah, I don't either.
I wish I'd known that before. I would have done a little research and looked up who of the 12 apostles was Thaddeus and what
his characteristics are.
Yeah, is he noted for anything? Probably not. But anyway, it's an honor to be among these people. Doug Fabrizio, of course, I know. Richard Dutcher. PJD?
Paula, she's a friend of Kat's. She's the one doing the makeup, and she's playing.
She's going to be
Judas in here. So,
so anyway, it was an honor to be.
Absolutely. What is something fit like that Bill likes about Salt Lake? What is? Let me get my questions here. What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake City?
I like Salt Lake because it's cosmopolitan enough. And yet not overwhelming. It's not an overwhelming city. It's an easy. I've lived in New York City. I've lived in Southern California in the Los Angeles area, Long Beach and Los Angeles. I've lived, I've lived in big places, and it's hard. So it's a lot, just to get things done, accomplished in your day is difficult. In Salt Lake, it's easy to get things done. It's just an easier lifestyle. I don't have to, I don't have to stand online for everything. And, so I like that about it. And yet there's plenty of culture here and, music. And I mean, there's a great music scene. And then I like the fact that the mountains are just right there. You can just go up into the mountains and be away from all of that quickly without, if you live in a place like New York, you have to drive, several hours to get to some place that's feels even slightly remote. And here you can drive for a half an hour, 40 minutes. And
you're there somewhere different, city or wilderness or camping. And what are Bill Allred's couple favorite eating spots currently that you've been eating at that you enjoy?
Well, it's interesting you said currently. There's a new restaurant called Current on 3rd South and what is it, 2nd East?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and that's I really like that place. It's been I keep going back there and back there. I really like it. I've always been a fan of Ryan Lauder's food at Copper Onion, and then he has a place out in Cottonwood area now, Copper Kitchen, I think it is. I've been there. That's very nice. I really like Taqueria 27. All 3 locations. Todd Gardner, they have 3 of those now. There's one right downtown Salt Lake, which I really like because I live in town.
Right by Bar X there.
Yeah, right next to Bar X. I love going to Bar X and the beer bar. I like the you know what else I really like too, just for there's so many great little places. There's like the Bruges Waffles and Frites place where you can get those great French fries.
Right down on 300 Broadway there.
Yeah, and then there's one in Sugar House across from the liquor store now. But again, most of the stuff I do in town because I live, right in town, and it's just great to be able to go to a place that's 5 minutes away from my house. So,
and it only takes you 5 minutes to get there versus in other cities, 2 hours to go 2 miles.
Or or I can ride my bike to most of the places that I like to go to, and it's just great.
Is there anything that you would change about Salt Lake City or that you would like to see a little different?
Probably just the things that people like me always bitch about, I'd like to have, I'd like to have better liquor laws or, little bit freer liquor laws. I'd like to be able to go to the grocery store and buy a bottle of wine at the grocery store while I'm getting groceries because, do you know how convenient that is? And especially when you're buying ingredients and you're making a meal and you say, okay, this is the stuff I'm going to make for dinner tonight. And I've got this perfect meal planned. Oh, and there, right there on the shelf is the wine that goes with it. And I'm just going to grab that as well. As one of the, but you can't do that.
You got to make an extra stop. And,
even I like going to the Avenues Smiths because there's a liquor store right down below it, but still it's going to another stop, So, the air situation. That's those kind of things that people bitch about, our air quality and
That's a good answer. I actually haven't had very many people say that one yet.
I'd really love to have that resolved. The air quality is just horrible in the winter. It's not great in the summer a lot of times anymore, and it's detrimental to our lifestyle and it's detrimental to our economic growth. A lot like cities or companies that are thinking of locating here, and then they send people. Hope to God they don't send them here during the winter when we have an inversion. They say, yeah, it's a great place except their air sucks. Let's not move our company there.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. So there are those kind of things, but all in all, I really I don't have a lot of complaints about Salt Lake.
Absolutely. How can people connect with you or promote? Radio from Hell, Monday through Friday.
6 a.m. to 10, 96.3 FM. On the radio, but we stream online, and there's a podcast of our show. every day. People listen. It's funny. People listen on their computers from all over the country, and
I have the radio app on my phone, so that's how I listen to it.
A lot of
through my
people
iPhone.
use the app, and so there's that. And then there's the podcast, the Let's Go Eat Show, which you can find on iTunes and Stitcher and Spreaker and at x96.com. It's in all of those places, and that's it's an interview show. We talk to all kinds of people. We talk to, like, the current one that's up now is this Mormon woman, Leslie Peterson, who painted portraits of the forgotten wives of Joseph Smith.
That was a good one, by the way. I just finished it yesterday.
Oh,
actually.
thanks. She was really charming. I mean, she's a sweet
Great
Mormon
story.
woman. Yeah. And it's a really interesting story, I think. And then there's some pictures there, on the website of her work. So so the podcast is it goes all over the place, different kinds of guests. Sometimes it's, but it's mostly Salt Lake people and Ogden and Utah people, and just people that I find interesting.
And you're on Twitter and Facebook.
Not Facebook so much.
Not so much Facebook.
I find Facebook too.
What's your Twitter handle?
At RFH Bill.
Okay.
At RFH Bill, Radio from Hell, RFH Bill.
So people can follow you there and connect with you and send you a tweet.
Yep. And there are, and then there are Twitter accounts for the Let's Go Eat Show. I think it's at the Let's Go Eat Show. And
I think I'll look that up too, and I'll add it to the show notes for this.
And then this new show that we're doing, this live show, which we live stream, video stream. What do you think, Utah? If you want to find out more about that and see what shows we're doing, and there's an archive there of the 5 shows we've done so far, and then shows coming up, you can just go to thinkutah.org. The next show we're doing is on kicking the feds out of Utah and taking over the federal land. We got to,
I like it.
We're going to take over the land. Utah needs its land back.
And 50 West is a great club too. I mean, great atmosphere and great venue there to see live shows like that.
Yeah, they do all kinds of other kinds of shows there too, which are good.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Bill. Anything else you want to mention before we close this out?
No, nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Your beard is as luxurious as ever, and I think you're more handsome than the last time I saw you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bill.
Yeah.
I'll let you introduce yourself and kind of what you're known for.
Okay, I'm Pat Bagley. I'm the cartoonist for the Salt Lake Tribune. I've been there for, 37, 38 years now. Quite a while.
So quite a while.
Yeah.
Here in Salt Lake City. When you were approached for this project with, Kat Palmer's doing here today, I mean, how did that make you feel? That you're, an awesome, player, one of the key components of Salt Lake, in her opinion. I mean,
I was flattered. I mean, this is a great project to be involved in. I wouldn't feel the same way if I was approached to be, 20 of the most fabulous people in Salt Lake. That wouldn't quite do it. But being a badass, being known for being not playing by the rules necessarily, that's great. I like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's a favorite thing about Salt Lake? What's one thing or two things that come to mind?
Oh, absolutely the physical location. You fly in, you look at the mountains, you can be away from the city and up in the canyons, in wildlife in 10 minutes, up in the canyons, and it's accessible. You can go hiking, you can go biking. So, definitely the mountains and the physical location. There's no place like it.
Do you hike a lot or?
Yeah, I like getting out. Sure, you bet.
Getting out in nature and
it clears my head.
Clears your head and helps you create more fabulous cartoons.
Well, that may be a byproduct, I guess. To do that, I got to jump into the sewer, but
yeah. Some of your favorite eating spots, current local favorite eating spots that Pat likes to go to.
Okay, there's Ichiban is
where we're recording right now.
Yeah, that's pretty good. There's the Paris, Sea Salt. I'm naming places that are kind of close to my house.
Yeah,
accessible. I'm trying to think of some place that I went to recently that was pretty good. There are all these places on Main Street that have opened up. I want to say Eva's. Eva's is wonderful.
Eva's. Yeah, right down Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
So you get out and try some places out. Is there anything that you would like to see different about Salt Lake, or anything that you'd like to change or wish would be a little different?
Well, I wish the whole state was more liberal, more progressive, because we could do so much. I wish the state was a little more concerned about education. But otherwise, Salt Lake City is a great city. I hosted the cartoonist convention here a couple of years ago, and the cartoonists, first thing I wanted to know, can I get a drink here? And I had to assure them, yeah, they can get a drink here because they thought this was kind of a dry town. But they flew in, they see the mountains, they ride the tracks right to the front door of their hotel, and they were just gobsmacked. They loved the place.
Yeah, a lot of people, they have this weird perception of Salt Lake, but once they get here, it's like, wow, that's a really cool place to live.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Visit,
and Salt Lake is a very progressive city. You look at our mayor, you look at the city council, you look at the bike paths that we're building down here. It's not bad.
Yeah. How can people find you? I mean, besides you're in the Tribune.
In the Tribune, so they can go to Bagley at sltrib.com, which is pretty easy. There are also Facebook pages that I go to. I'm also at Pat Bagley on Twitter. So I'm easy to find if you're looking for me.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about this project, or anything you want to promote or pump? Or
not really, except that Kat Palmer is a genius. You know? I've been following her stuff, and I don't really know her, but you kind of know her by her reputation.
Yeah.
And she's fearless, and she's funny, and she's not afraid to try new things. So she's great.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Pat. It was great chatting with you.
Okay. Good to meet you.
I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself and what it is you're known for.
My name is Doug Fabrizio, and I am the host of a program on public radio in Utah called Radio West.
How did you feel when you were approached by Kat for this project to be part of this photo shoot that we're recording for today? Any thoughts in your head, or what was the first reaction? Or do you remember it all?
Yeah, well, I think I felt a little mystified by what it was. Not sure I qualified for badass.
I think you are.
Really?
I do. You're an important role in Salt Lake.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I don't know. It's funny because I try to sort of, I don't see myself as part of, I try to separate myself from the, role of movers and shakers and opinion makers and stuff like that. At least when I'm doing an interview. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's odd, I think, when people say that they want you to be a source, or they want to interview you. That always is hard for me, because I try to stay apart from it. I try to keep myself out of it, and so I always feel a little shy or reluctant. But I know Kat well enough to trust her, and I thought this would be fun. Why not just let loosen up? So
and have some fun with
have
it.
some fun. Yeah, why not? So and all the other people, they're terrific. So it looked fun.
Anybody here that you were excited to meet, or did you kind of know everybody here today?
I think I knew of most everybody for sure.
Yeah,
and, I know Bill pretty well, and I've been interviewed by Paul Duane, for example. I've interviewed the Senator Dabakis. Dina is sort of a celebrity around here, so I know of her pretty well. It's a great group.
What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake in general? What anything that comes to mind? One or two things that you like about the city?
The thing that I like the most about the city, and I think the thing that makes it really unique in the country, is that it has this tension that is built into the culture. And it's that tension between, I'll just say, probably Mormon and non-Mormon. But although I think it's more complicated than that, I think it's a tension between Orthodox, conservative sort of people and more broad-minded, progressive thinking people. And that tension has created this kind of cultural stew in this city that has made for great art, great counterculture. It's made for interesting, I even think the restaurant scene, I even think the craft scene, I even think almost all of the arts, to be honest with you, are in some way a part of that tension. And so it makes us better. It makes us a little bit more defiant. It makes us, and I'm not even, so I think I think that tension between those two sensibilities, two kind of ideologies, makes this place really interesting, in good ways and bad ways sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. You mentioned food. I always like to ask this of people in general, and I'm asking today, favorite local eating spots Where's some place that you can find Doug at? Any places?
We love Copper Onion is a real favorite of ours. Love that. Lately, we've been eating a lot at Current. Really am taken to that. Pago, the Tap House, which is not far from where I live. We really like that. I love taco joints. My favorite is the one on in the Sears parking lot, the one on the east side.
Great tacos.
Love
there.
that.
Yeah.
I love cheap food, too, by the way. I love Lone Star for tacos too. I love Takashi is a favorite place. Like them a lot. I like Ichiban too. We're sitting here in Ichiban.
Yeah.
I like this place too a lot actually. And so those are some of my favorite places.
Is there anything that you would change about Salt Lake? Anything you'd like to see different?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what I would rather see different. And it goes kind of back to the thing that I like about Salt Lake, and it's that tension.
Yeah.
I love the tension between the sort of conservative forces and the liberal forces. I think that tension, again, makes us better in a lot of what we do. But I don't understand why we can't hang out together. I don't think Mormons hang out with non-Mormons very well. I mean, you see it in some enclaves, in some neighborhoods, but it's pretty rare. And it's not just because Mormons feel reticent about hanging out with non-Mormons. I think the same applies on the other side, to be honest with you. I think non-Mormons, they're not quite sure what to make of their really conservative neighbors. They don't agree with, with maybe their political views or even their staunch religious views or moral values or whatever. So I think in some cases they don't reach out. And I wish we could, ease up a little bit on that. I wish we could get along a little bit. That sounds so dopey, but I really think
makes
that
sense.
I wish that we could find a way to get beyond some of those things and hang out more. And then would it change the other part of the culture? I don't know. But I wish I often see it from time to time. I see people that it doesn't really matter, but I think that's pretty rare. I think we're all inclined to kind of hang out with the people that have our same kinds of interests. And that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You hang out with your tribe, with the people who have the same kind of artistic sensibility or political ideas. I just wish, and for myself, this is the case too, like to kind of reach out a little bit and be a little bit more broad-minded. And I wish we could do that more as a community.
How can people find you? I mean, Radio West.
They can find us on 90 point. Well, it's funny. I'm wondering how many people actually find us on terrestrial radio anymore. I
podcast you. That's how I listen.
Well, I'll just put it this way: KUER.org.
Yeah.
That's how you can find us, and that you can get to Radio West. And then we have we actually have a video site that I started a year ago or so, where we're creating short documentaries. We're doing a street portrait series, which looks at how people's style and the fashion, not just fashion. It's actually the things they wear and the way they dress that convey something about themselves. And we're going to different places throughout the city. So far, it's Salt Lake. I think we'll expand throughout the state later, but right now it's been Salt Lake, like 2nd and 2nd and 9th and 9th and the Gallivan and Library Square. I mean, we've looked at those so far, and we just go there and talk to people about that place and about the things they might be wearing, like what's that necklace about and where did you get those earrings and tell me about your shoes. And sometimes there's not a story. Sometimes it's just, I got them on Thursday and big deal. But sometimes it has like, this is my grandmother's, or I like these because they're red, and I always find that really conveys something about somebody. And so that's part of what we've been doing on this website called Video West. And we've done stories about people. It's just kind of another way of telling stories, the way I've been explaining it, and it's at videowest.org.
Excellent. I'll put those links at iamsaltlake.com with this podcast show notes, so people, if you're driving, you can't write it down.
Yeah,
go check it out.
Terrific.
That's it, Doug. Anything else you want to mention about this project, life, Salt Lake? Anything before we stop recording here?
I don't think so. Good job.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay.
It's been an honor chatting with you.
Thanks. Cheers.
Tell the listeners who you are.
I am Tom Monco. I am the chef and general manager of Ichiban Sushi on 336 South, 400 East.
Beautiful place, by the way.
Oh, yes, beautiful buildings. What sold me on the job is when I walked in here and just saw the beauty of the building.
Awesome. How long have you been here at Ichiban?
3 years now.
3 years. And actually, I'm going to be honest with you. It's my first time actually coming in the building. What's the history here? I mean, this is an old church?
It's an old church built in the late 1800s. It was decommissioned, I believe, in the 1960s, became an Italian restaurant. It was a famous Italian restaurant for many, many years. I've had so many guests come into the restaurant saying that they had their wedding reception here or their high school prom dinner here. Used to be a fountain in the middle of the restaurant, from what I understand, and back in the 1990s, Peggy Whiting had bought it, converted it into a sushi restaurant. And from what I understand, she was the first female sushi chef in America that was also a restaurant owner.
You might have mentioned the address. What is the address here for Ichiban?
336 South, 400 East.
Okay, and what the hours? I mean, let's promote the place a little bit here. I mean, you're very generous to let us use your space here.
We're open from 5 to 10, Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, we're open until 11 o'clock at night.
And do you need reservations or anything to come here? It helps
for larger groups on the weekends. It helps, but we have 134 seats in the restaurant, plus another additional 24 outside. Plenty of seating.
How long? I mean, you're a sushi chef. I mean, is that a pretty? I mean, where do you go to learn to be a sushi chef? I mean, is self-taught or what?
Well, I did apprenticeship for sushi. I am a trained chef. Worked with Four Seasons hotels for most of my career before becoming a sushi chef. And then, while I was becoming a sushi chef, I also helped them start sushi at many of their locations.
Have you always lived here in Salt Lake?
No, I moved here 4 years ago.
From where did you move from?
Jackson, Wyoming is where I came down from. I was with the Four Seasons up there.
Okay. What is your favorite thing about Salt Lake? What do you like about Salt Lake?
I love that you can be in the mountains one minute and then out in the desert in the next minute. And it's more of a mid to central California climate down here in the valley. And then if you need to get up and go skiing and mountaineering, you can do that too.
Do you ski at all?
I used to. I used to a lot, but not anymore.
As you get older, you're like, when I fall and hit the ground, it's not as. So being a sushi chef, I mean, do your friends? I mean, when you're not at work, are they like, make us up some sushi rolls?
Oh yeah.
I
have sushi parties all the time and do that. It was always a lot of fun. I do a lot of cooking for friends, but I try to get back to what I came up doing: French, Austrian, and Italian.
Let's say somebody listening, I get a lot of listeners that are either moving to Salt Lake or that are visiting Salt Lake even. Besides coming to Ichiban to get some delicious sushi, what are some other things that you would say, go check this out or go visit this building or area of town? Is there anything that you would recommend them to check out in Salt Lake?
I really, being so new to the area and as much as I work,
you don't really get a chance to get out.
But I jump on my motorcycle and head out into the desert. And that's really beautiful out there. Or I go up into the canyons. There's so much to see here. So, it's any in particular place I really wouldn't know. I could say, my favorite restaurant. It's places like that.
Well, is there any other favorite places to eat besides Ichiban?
I love Copper Onion. Is by far, I would say, my go-to. The always consistent with great food there. Besides that, I spend a lot of time at Hub and Spoke, and
great food there. So, anything else you want to add? I mean, I just kind of wanted to sit down with you and chat for a minute and kind of spotlight Ichiban here.
It's we been in the valley almost 20 years now as a restaurant. The beautiful, beautiful place, great for big parties. We have all these private rooms you can sit in, and our food. Only a few sushi restaurants that I know of really does serve fresh seafood like we do, and it's not frozen is what I'm trying to say, and it's just a great place, fun place to come down.
Awesome. People can come here, and you're probably here a lot, so people that are listening can come down here and even get to say hello to you, maybe,
all the time. I'll be behind the sushi bar almost every night.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Thomas.
Thank you.
Why don't you introduce yourself and kind of tell listeners what you're known for, what you're here today doing, I guess.
Okay. My name is Sean Means. I am the movie critic for the Salt Lake Tribune. I also cover visual arts, and I'm here sort of covering this event as a story.
With the Salt Lake Tribune.
For the Salt Lake Tribune.
You've only known about this project for a short while, right?
Kat told me about it a couple weeks ago. Said it was in the works, and I've interviewed her before. I've interviewed Kat before on other things, involving the Urban Arts Gallery when she was running that, and Urban Arts Festival, and her work. And so I've been, and I am the one person on the staff of the Tribune that's actually covering visual arts as much as we can, which is not a lot, unfortunately. And so so she thought I'd be interested in this as a story, and it sounded like a good story. So.
Absolutely. What was your first thought? Do you have any do you remember, or was there any kind of reaction or thought when she kind of presented the idea of having all these awesome people in Salt Lake, kind of this photograph that she wanted to take?
I loved how she described it as 12 Salt Lake City badasses.
Yeah,
I just love that notion in itself, and the idea of doing it as the Last Supper is just a great sort of visual for that I think connects sort of instantly with people. So
absolutely. What are some of your favorite, or what is a favorite thing or a couple favorite things about Salt Lake City, just in general, that Sean likes?
Oh boy,
big question, right?
Well, when I first moved here,
where did you move from?
I moved here from the Northwest. I grew up in Spokane, went to college in Seattle, and then my first jobs in journalism were in Boise and in Moscow, Idaho. And when I first moved down here to Salt Lake, I really didn't know what to expect. And when I first got here, what struck me was how culturally alive and culturally diverse Salt Lake City is, and it was and is. Everything, symphony, Ballet West, theater groups, the jazz playing at what was then still Salt Palace and Delta Center, now Energy Solutions. The fact that there was a pretty good sized underground art movement in here, a larger, for my money, larger and a more interesting underground art movement in Salt Lake City than in other cities I've been in. And also, one of the first things that hit me was Sundance Film Festival.
Sure.
Just a few months after I got here, I got to go to my first Sundance before I even got the movie job, and did that, and I thought, I could tough it out here for a while, and that was 24 years ago.
Have you been with the Tribune that long?
I've been here. I started. In fact, my Tribversary was about a week ago. 24 years on Labor Day weekend.
Wow, so, that's a long time for any job.
It's for any job, and especially in journalism, especially the way things are these days. Hanging on that long is not easy. My plan was to get here, when I got here, my plan was, do 3 years, 5 years, and then, go look around elsewhere. But I just liked this place so much, and liked working at the Tribune so much that I stayed. And the other major factor here is that I met a local girl, and
they'll keep you around.
That'll happen. We've been married 18 years now, and we have 2 kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
So this is home.
Awesome.
And I've I was an Air Force brat, so I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere in my life. So
what are some of your favorite eating spots? I ask this of people that come on the show a lot. Local. I like to promote the local eating spots,
right.
Obviously.
Well, I'm vegetarian, so my 2 favorites are Sage's Cafe and Vertical Diner.
Great places to eat.
Vertical Diner is really my favorite because it sort of puts the lie to sort of the reputation vegetarian places have for being quinoa and kale and a
bunch of health nuts,
and
really. Yeah, absolutely.
The Vertical Diner, I just love the very old fashioned stick to your ribs kind of food, but just it happens not to have meat in it. So
what is there anything that you would change about Salt Lake City?
Change about Salt Lake City,
or that you would like to see different?
Well, I mean, besides the liquor laws, of course,
and which is that's like the number one answer from most people.
Well, I would love we joke about the liquor laws, and frankly, it's more of just the game of, okay, what do they set up and then how do you get around it? And that, when I first got here, that was funny. And it was amusing that you'd tell people, people make jokes about, oh, you can't get a drink in Salt Lake. And I say, well, you don't know where to go then, obviously. And when I got here, that was fun. That was sort of a,
And it was probably different 20 plus years ago.
It was sort of a nice rebellious stick it to the man sort of thing, which was kind of fun. Now it's just a hassle and it's a pain. And my attitude at this point is that, if the conservative mindset in the state legislature was truly conservative, they would let the free market decide this. And they would basically get out of the business altogether, privatize the entire liquor industry, take their cut in taxes, let people be grown-ups about it and decide for themselves what they're going to do and what they're not going to do with alcohol. And for my money, and that strikes me as being a fair system for everybody. Like I said, certainly a more conservative mindset than what we have now, which is just sort of a paternalistic, we know what's best sort of mindset. So.
Absolutely. How can people find you online? I know you're on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter at Movie Cricket, and I do the cricket column and the cricket blog at the Tribune. It's sltrib.com/blogs/cricket. Just go to sltrib.com/entertainment. My reviews are there, usually posted online the day before they open in theaters, and then my stories as they come up. So,
cool.
Yeah, just sltrib.com. You'll find all of our stuff.
And I'll put those links with the rest of the show notes for this episode. Anything else you want to add? Anything you want to promote? Shout outs? Anything you want to mention about any of this project or Salt Lake City in general?
Can't think of anything. I mean, it is interesting here to be, it's a weird setup where I know a lot of the people that are in this shoot, and
anybody you don't know?
Hadn't met Ransom before today. Had not met Paul before today. Everybody else, let's see, no Jay, no Bill, because I do radio on X96 on Thursdays.
Okay, yeah, so people listening can listen to that too.
I know Bill. I know Senator Dabakis. I've interviewed Senator Dabakis about art. That's kind of because one of his best friends used to run the Springfield Museum of Art. Haven't met Dina Marie. I know Dina Marie by reputation. I know Doug. See him at journalist things around town all the time. Had not met Ransom. Had not met Greg. I interviewed Charles Lynn Frost some years ago, so I know Sister Dottie. Had just met Paula today.
Patrick, I'm sure.
Pat, of course, I know well. Richard Dutcher, I've interviewed numerous times. Mary, I've met a few times. We used to go to the same gym together, actually. And Paul Duane, I just met. So,
awesome.
It's one of the byproducts of having the same job for as long as I have is that I keep running into the same people.
I'm sure.
So.
All right. Many thanks goes out to all the individuals that were involved in this project for allowing me to sit down, chat with them. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know I had a really good time chatting with them. Again, all the links are going to be at iamsaltlake.com/189. Connect with everybody and let them know you heard them on the I Am Salt Lake podcast. I also want to quickly thank Kat Palmer for inviting me to sit down and chat with everybody, for inviting I Am Salt Lake podcast to be part of the project, the Last Supper shoot. Reach out to her as well. Let her know you heard the podcast. Let her know what you thought. Let her know what you think of the photo. Hey, there are some ways you can help support the podcast, and all help is greatly appreciated. First and foremost, make sure you're telling your family and friends about it, whether that's just telling them about it or sharing any of your favorite episodes on any social media sites. Again, iamsaltlake.com is the website. You can go there, dig through the back catalog. There's also a link for iTunes where you could subscribe to the podcast. The podcast will always be free, but any support is greatly appreciated. You can hit the donate button at iamsaltlake.com, donate $1 or $2. It will help fund the project, keep it moving forward, new audio gear, web hosting, anything podcast related. Doing a podcast isn't cheap, so I want to thank those of you that have donated to the podcast. Really quickly, before I close out the episode, I want to remind you, October 16th is a Friday night at Club 50 West. I'm doing my first I Am Salt Lake Live with Kerry Jackson, Paul Duane, and Levi Rounds. Make sure you're following me on Facebook or Twitter. That way I can keep you up to date on all of this. That way you could stay up to date on everything I have going on here in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's going to do it. You guys have a great week. Until then, like I said, my name is Chris Hollifield. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you guys again next week.